Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. Joining us, sitting right over here, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, our viewer Joshua, who's been watching you since the AMC days, he just had his first daughter born.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yep.
Congratulations to Joshua. That's an amazing news. I thought you were going to say about the background work on For All Mankind.
Oh, yeah.
No.
But that's better.
No. For a first daughter born.
That's amazing. Congrats to Joshua. Sitting right beside him, of course, is Chris Carr. Chris, do you have good news for us today?
I mean, I don't know anyone doing background work or baby stuff. No.
Sitting back here, getting ready to do his first MasterClass, one of our sponsors today, on the proper way to roll cocaine. Ray Ora's back here.
Roll cocaine?
That Ray with the pen. Why not? Ray Ora joining you guys in the live chat. Ray, how
That's
you
wasting a lot of money right there if you're rolling that.
I think he meant rolling the paper for the cocaine.
He was talking about using pens and paper. What do you want from me? That's some pre-show discussion that was going on. And of course, beside him, running the show today, producer Jonathan Boyko. Jonathan, how you doing?
Good. Just looking for a pen and some paper.
The olden days. Anyway, guys, and you are here. We are so glad you decided to make this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it down into two parts. In the first half of the show, which is pretty big as we're packed today, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you got a live comment or question you'd like us to address on the show, one, you got to be watching live. Two, when we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. And when we do, you'll have a couple of minutes to fire those in, but it's just a couple of minutes. So try to have them ready to go. And then we will address those questions and comments in the second half of the show. Also, a little bit of housekeeping here. Want to remind you guys, if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, maybe you're driving or you're at the office, there's good news. There's an audio-only version of our show called, creatively, the John Campea Show Podcast. Just go into your favorite podcasting app of choice, whether it's Apple, Spotify, whatever. Just search for the John Campea Show, subscribe to it, so it'll be there when you need it. Also, there's a couple of other podcast feeds that I don't know if we have graphics ready to go for these or not, but there's a brand new after show podcast feed for our pregame and postgame shows. We obviously got a couple of She-Hulk shows up there. We just get our Game of Thrones after show. So there's a brand new podcast feed. We'll share that all with you a little bit later, but you can go and search for it now, simply called After Show. So go and subscribe to that as well. All right, guys. With all that down, we got to get into it. We are absolutely jam-packed today, so we got to get things started here off the top, and we're going to start with this. Now, as many of you guys know, there's a brand new Avatar movie coming that should have been out in theaters 7 years ago, but hey, it's coming now, so I guess we should be grateful for what we've got. Now, we also knew, as of CinemaCon, they told us that they were going to re-release the original Avatar in theaters prior to the new Avatar coming out. We also talked a couple of days ago about the fact that, turns out, they're removing Avatar from Disney Plus and their associated services to prepare for the new launch coming September 23rd. Well, now we have some more information and a brand new trailer, as a matter of fact. So, the original Avatar, the #1 box office film of all time, is coming back to theaters on September 23rd. It's going to be in 4K, high dynamic range, so it's going to look even better than it did before. And they dropped a brand new trailer for it. And I got to say, listen, I was never I really like Avatar. I do. I like it a lot, but I was never the biggest fan of it. I didn't think it should have won Movie of the Year or anything like that. But man, I'll tell you, going back and watching the trailer, this new trailer says, go back and watch the movie the way it was meant to be seen and all that kind of stuff. And you're revisiting the characters and those scenes. It's got its own kind of Jurassic Park glasses moment when Michelle Rodriguez says, you guys should see the look on your faces, right? As they're going into Pandora. It made me excited to actually go back in the theater and watch it again. Rob, what stands out to you here? We got it coming out in 4K, high dynamic range, back in theaters, new trailer drops. What do you got?
Well, I'm a huge fan of this movie. I'm a huge fan of James Cameron. And I even said when we were talking about why was it taken off Disney Plus, and I figured, yeah, they probably up-resed all the effects because I believe it was mastered in 2K back in the day.
Right.
And now, the film already looked incredible. But to go see this in 3D, is it going to be re-released in 3D?
I Did not hear
Yeah,
about.
I
don't
didn't know if it is or not, but the 3D, obviously to me, it's the greatest 3D movie ever made. I can't wait to see this movie. I love this movie. Would you be surprised to know that I have the extended version?
I would be surprised to find out you had fewer than 4 copies of it in one way or another.
I have 2.
Okay.
I have 2. Hopefully they will re-release a 4K version. I'm sure that they will, but I'm actually really excited, man. I having seeing this in an IMAX theater was a wonderful experience. I saw it twice. I will go back and see it again. I can't even imagine, because you know the technology in terms of the motion capture that they've used has increased, and the detail I'm sure is astonishing. I can't wait, dude.
Chris, it's 4K, high dynamic range, in theater September 23rd. Brand new trailer dropped. What did you think?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I love this movie. Every time someone pitches it as it's Fern Gully or, Dances with Wolves in Space, I'm like, yes, it is. And that's amazing. I love this movie. And this movie is actually one of the few ways that my dad and I got to connect on film. It was the first time he was actually invested in the Academy Awards and had a hard opinion and was angry that this didn't win Best Picture because it was part of the cultural zeitgeist. And so I'm really excited to go back in theaters and see this and talk with my dad about all the restored footage and everything.
You know what? We talked the other day about the fact that they have pulled it out off of Disney Plus and their associated platforms. And I said at the time, I feel a little torn about that because, taking away content. But I had a conversation with somebody. I won't say who, but they brought it up. They put it to me like this. They said, this is the biggest movie of all time, and you're putting it back in theaters. It deserves the respect to be exclusively in theaters for a small window of time. And I thought, oh, you know what? Okay, that's a valid argument. I get that, and that made me kind of soften my stance on it. Because again, he's right. It is the biggest film of all time. It deserves that respect, and it is only for a small window of time that'll be off. So I'm actually kind of okay with it now, I guess.
You know what else, too? This movie has a joie de vivre to it. When Jake Sully is first in his avatar body and he's been crippled and he breaks free and goes out into Pandora from the medical facility and he's running for that first time, in our jaded, cynical, post-COVID times where politics is uncertain, the world is depressing, this movie will put a smile on your face. And seeing it on a big screen,
that's the magic of movies, man.
That's what we need, man.
It's the magic of movies. A question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Have you seen the trailer for the re-release? If so, what did you think? I am planning on going back to watch it again. It'll probably be the last time I get to see it on the big screen. What about you? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top, and that is this. Speaking of things that are just delightful and just make you happy and put a smile on faces, the Steve Martin short show, Only Murders in the Building, is just kind of snuck in out of nowhere when season 1 came out and just quietly captivated millions of fans. And everybody fell in love with it. Of course, the second season just had its finale last night. My wife is obsessed with, Anne is absolutely obsessed with this show. By the way, did you see any of Martin's short on Jimmy Fallon?
Oh, he's brilliant.
Oh my God. That was one of the funniest things I've seen on a late night talk show.
Was that this week?
This week or last week, I can't remember exactly, but it was pretty funny. At any rate, so now I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I mean, this did air last night. News came out that one of my favorite guys in the world, Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. I've actually had the opportunity to get together with Paul Rudd and talk to him about stuff on a number of occasions. I just think the dude is absolutely fantastic. And he is now going to be appearing in season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. Now, how exhaustive his role will be, we're not really sure. This comes to us from the folks who over at Variety, and they wrote the following. They said, Paul Rudd has joined the cast of Only Murders in the Building. The actor will star in the show's 3rd season after making a cameo as Broadway star Ben Glenroy in the season 2 finale, I Know Who Did It. It is not known whether Rudd will appear in the series as a series regular, recurring, or guest capacity. But I think for anybody, anywhere, having a guy like Paul Rudd, who again is just absolutely amazing. I love this guy. Paul Rudd is one of these guys who has very quietly gone on to amass like one of the best, most celebrated like comedy careers. When you actually look down his filmography, it's like, oh my God, he was in that. It's like, oh right, he was in that, and he was in that. He's just very quietly gone about amassing a Hall of Fame kind of career. Anyway, Rob, you hear about him showing up in Only Murders in the Building. What do you think?
I'm a huge fan of his. And like you said, his comedy career is impeccable. And also his MCU career. I love the Ant-Man movies. And he was great. He was great. I mean, he's one of those people in Endgame that comes out of the quantum realm and we see what has happened in the post-blip world through his eyes. I mean, and he's got 3 hot toys of himself.
And actually, he has a bunch of hot toys. He actually, he's not as serious a collector of hot toys to say you are or anything like that.
Well, he's rich. He can buy whatever he wants.
Anyway, Chris, you hear about this? What do you think?
Oh man, I woke up at like 5 to walk my dogs, opened up Twitter and saw this on Variety, and I didn't get to watch the finale last night. So I was so mad that I didn't get to see him in this. But I mean, adding talent is never a bad idea, right? And this is a fantastic, fantastic show. Only Murders in the Building is one of my favorite things I've been watching lately. Steve Martin and Martin Short are obviously comedy legends, and Selena Gomez playing the straight man in that show is so good. I think she keeps getting overlooked because she's with these titans, and she holds her own, especially in the last few episodes. She's been incredible. So having Paul Rudd in the mix and playing a Broadway star, I'm very, very excited. I've loved him ever since, like Romeo and Juliet and Clueless.
I want to know the
him.
story of how Selena Gomez got cast, because I wonder if like her agents were like, I don't know about this Selena, like because she is so good in the show.
In an interview with Steve Martin, I know there was initial reworking because it was going to be, I believe, 3 older men doing this where they all came together. And then as they workshopped it, it was, well, what if we get, like a millennial in the mix, and it's kind of this odd couple group that comes together and they have that bond of the murder podcast.
Again, a genius move.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Do you guys watch Only Murders in the Building? Are you a Paul Rudd fan? Maybe you're not. What do you think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, we've got a couple more off the tops to do, so let's get rolling into this one. My most anticipated TV show, I think for the last 4 or 5 years since they announced that they were doing it, my number one most anticipated thing coming to TV has been The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I'm dying to see it. I have loved the trailers and stuff like that. Everything we've seen up to this point, especially that Comic-Con trailer they dropped, when the Balrog comes out at the end, all that kind of stuff. I'm losing my mind. I cannot wait to go see this. And I'm going to go see it on Wednesday in theaters. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, Chris is a little mad at me. I got my tickets and she didn't.
A little hurt.
But
it's fine. It's fine.
Stupidly stoked for this show. That being said, they dropped what they're calling the final trailer.
A long trailer.
A long trailer. And the final trailer for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. And I got to tell you, I didn't really like it. Now, let me be very clear. I loved what I saw. I loved all the footage. I loved all that kind of stuff. I am strictly speaking as a trailer that some marketing department put together. The trailer didn't feel like the other trailer.
Mm-mm.
Like when you watch this trailer that they dropped today, and again, some fabulous footage in it, absolutely. But when you look at this trailer with the music choices and the editing choices in the trailer and all that kind of stuff, and you compare it to that Comic-Con trailer we got, it does not feel like this is a trailer to the same thing. It feels like this is to a completely different show or a completely different movie. And I was telling you guys before we started the show that I went back and watched the trailer again on mute. And I loved it. I loved it when it was on mute. So again, it's funny because I didn't like the trailer, but because of the footage that I saw, I'm just even more excited about it because it looks extremely cinematic. So I'm completely down for it. But yeah, just from a marketing trailer point of view, I just think they took the wrong approach. I got to imagine this is probably a different trailer company that did this one than did the last one because there's no consistency between them. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see the trailer. What do you think about it?
Well, here's the thing that struck me. I've been enjoying the trailers so far. I watched this trailer and this is what I was thinking when it was over. I turned to Elizabeth and I said, what is this for? Because it certainly doesn't feel like it's Tolkien. It felt like it was generic fantasy. Like they cut to all these fantasy tropes that could be in any Warcraft, this and the other thing. It's always, and there wasn't the heart. I kept waiting. Okay, you got the dire threat, but there's got to be, that first trailer for Lord of the Rings when they first announced it, the end shot was the Fellowship coming over the hill. Remember that?
Yeah.
At the top of the mountain. They don't say anything. And you're just looking at this disparate group of people, the Hobbits, Strider, Boromir, and you're like Gandalf. You're like, oh my God, I'm so in. And this, I kind of was waiting for that, I guess. I mean, I was waiting for something where I felt something. I'm like, okay, the action and great, there's mayhem happening and the world's in peril. But I wanted the heart and I didn't feel it. And I was like, And it made me not feel, I just didn't like this. I'd never not felt the heart in the marketing until now.
Because you go again, I don't know how you put out that trailer that they did for Comic-Con and then take such a massive step down. Like you gotta amp it up. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to see it. What did you think about it?
We talked about this off camera.
Yes, we did.
I know I'm a Lord of the Rings sycophant. I loved it. I loved everything about it. It is lush visuals. Galadriel is forming her own fellowship. You fuddy-duddies. Oh,
But Galadriel didn't
I
form her
love
own
this.
fellowship.
Well, let me have what I want, Rob.
Kind of did.
Yeah,
In the trailer.
that's what she's
No,
doing.
but I mean in the story.
Oh no! Don't go there. Don't go with this is their.
No,
this
I'm
is
not.
this.
I'm not going anywhere other than the fact that the way she's being portrayed is compared to the Lord of the Rings movie.
But this is.
But this is a younger
hundreds and
version.
hundreds of,
Yeah, people
like,
grow, people
years
change.
earlier and stuff like that.
I think this is the journey of her becoming that Cate Blanchett version. And I could be wrong. We could watch this, and I
Hey
might
man,
be
I
like,
want this to be great.
"Homie, you were right."
I spent a lot of years working on Lord.
I mean, that's
I
like
know.
saying I don't like Anson Mounts Pike because that's not what he was in the original Star Trek show. He's
Oh, yes,
supposed
it
to-
is.
No, this is how
it's just like that.
it's just like it. But no, this is seeing the path of how they got there. Like I love, like one of the things that I liked about the trailer was when it started. It immediately gives us the setup for Galadriel of my brother died for this,
Right.
and I need to pick up his sword for him. Like I need to carry on his work and what he did. And that gave us, like, to me, that gave us a lot of insight into her. But anyway, sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
Please keep
no
going.
worries. I think that's it. I want to see this young Galadriel find her power, right? I want to see how she becomes that version of who we see, who is so powerful and could be this white queen who could do all these things to us. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And I'm loving to all the different tertiary characters we're getting here and seeing how they're going to come together. We still honestly don't know much about how this story is going to unfold. There's not a lot of plot given here aside from a few character-driven moments,
Agreed.
which is my favorite kind of storytelling. But that big sweeping narrative, I'm sure we're not going to get all of those tidbits till we're actually in the thick of
No,
it.
and one thing the trailer does convey, they spent a lot of money on
Yeah,
They
they
spent
did.
a lot of money on this show.
Gorgeous.
Again, I
I mean, it looks
everything
great.
From it visually looks incredible. Again, I'm just talking about the trailer itself. The music choice for this trailer I
Yeah.
thought was
That's fair.
very odd, especially when you go back and look at the old. It just didn't feel like it was to the same show.
You know what's interesting too? I watched a different trailer that had nothing to do with Lord of the Rings right before it. Like I was because I get up in the morning and I watch whatever new trailers are. That's the first thing I do for the show, and find stuff. And there was a trailer, I think it was a horror film, that had the same kind of music. It's almost like this trailer company picked. It sounded exactly the same, and I'm like, maybe that was part of the. My reaction, I'm like, why did they use this music for Lord of the Rings? Like trailer companies, they fall back on these tropes, and it's very, you see it, you hear it.
That is a fair assessment. I understand y'all's point of view on the music because I did watch it the first time on mute because I was still in bed with Logan. I didn't want to wake him up because
Right.
it was 5 a.m. But like it did have a kind of almost. I don't mean this in an offensive way, but I download a lot of music from Storyblocks for when I'm doing people's interactive reels, right? And when you're looking for big, sweeping, epic music that has this kind of Tolkien feel to it, it does feel like it is a more generic version of that kind of stuff.
You know what else too, John? If we had heard like a Howard Shore-esque score,
Yeah,
And, like,
I totally would change
completely-
the feel of it.
it would change if, like dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? Then I'd be like, okay, that's Lord of the Rings.
I do have one prediction for the show, though, and I don't know where it'll happen, but something very bad is going to happen to Galadriel. Because when you look at, like, from a physical point of view, let's look at the Captain Pike situation, right? Like we see in the original Star Trek series, he's all disformed and disfigured, and he's in that makeshift Dalek wheelchair kind of thing. And so we know something drastic is going to happen that's going to change him physically from what we see Anson Mount to that. I think something really bad is going to happen to Galadriel that changes her emotionally. Because while she's not, life of the party in these trailers or anything like that, I think we're going to see something that happens to her that transforms her from what we see in these trailers to the more despondent, kind of detached Galadriel that we see in the Peter Jackson movie. So I think we're going to see something very traumatic happen to her in this. But again, I don't know that. I'm just guessing. Anyway, guys, questions for you. What did you think of the final trailer for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power? I am dying for this show, but I gotta say, I didn't love this particular trailer. Neither did Rob. Chris really enjoyed it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we move on to our final off the top here today, we want to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of today's show, our friends at Mint Mobile. We want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of the retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. And guys, I have been using Mint Mobile for months now, and I could not be more thrilled with the service. I also couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that my phone bill now is literally 1/3 of what it used to be with my previous major carrier. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Don't forget, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So go down into the description of this video right at the top. You'll see the links to all of the sponsors of today's show and their promo codes. And thank you again to Mint Mobile. All right, with that down, let's do one more off the top, and that is this. You know, with all the, chaos that's going on, controlled chaos that's going on over at Warner Brothers right now. You know, the axing of Batgirl, a lot of shows have been axed, stuff like that. They have a vision for what they want. The new ownership has a vision for what they want Warner Brothers to be, and they've begun the process of Terragenesis, Rob. They've begun the process of burning away what it is they don't want and starting to establish what they do. And they took a major step today they've been doing a lot of burning away of what they don't want, but today we saw the first signs of them starting to build about what they do want Warner Brothers to be. As it has been reported that Matt Reeves, director of The Batman, has signed a massive overall deal with Warner Brothers that will see Warner Brothers have a first look deal with him and his production company. And he has signed a massive extension with Warner Brothers Television as well. So while this does not completely prevent Matt Reeves from doing some other pictures with some other studios, if he'd like, for the most part, for the next decade or so, Matt Reeves is going to be making movies over at Warner Brothers. Now, Matt Reeves said this about the deal: making this legendary studio my home is a dream. I am so excited to be working with Mike, Pam, and Channing and our team. Now, these are the co-CEOs of the picture group at Warner Brothers, and our teams bringing captivating stories I am truly passionate about to the big and small screen. Now, here's where this gets kind of interesting about like what kind of future and projects and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's Michael DeLuca, who's the co-chair of Warner Brothers Picture Group. He reports directly to David Zaslav. He made this comment about the deal they just signed with Matt Reeves. And I think this gives us a little bit of a glimpse into the future of Warner Brothers working with Matt Reeves. This is what DeLuca said. Pam and I, that's his co-chair, Pam and I gratefully inherited the relationship with Matt from The Batman and through the beginning stages of planning the Penguin series on HBO Max. I know some people were saying they were worried about the Penguin series. Clearly, there's nothing to worry about. Through the beginning stages of planning the Penguin series for HBO Max, we were excited to nail down this overall deal because it's a cornerstone of what we want to do with the filmmakers that are working at the studio. We want to create an atmosphere where all of these filmmakers can excel and do their work and stay with us once they're inside the Warner family. Keeping Matt, this is where it gets really interesting here, keeping Matt Reeves and creating a home for him to do more projects in the Batman universe, but also originals was very important to us. Keeping Matt creating, giving him a home to do more projects in the Batman universe, but also original stuff like that was very important to us. So that again comes to us from the folks over at Slash Film. So Rob, this is a huge deal. Matt Reeves is one of the most sought after creatives right now in the business. He's decided he wants to lock down at Warner Brothers. The fact that it sounds like they've got bigger plans for this Robert Pattinson Batman universe. The Penguin is probably just going to be the first of the HBO series, I'm guessing, with the extension of the Warner Television contract as well. You hear about this deal? What's your takeaway from it?
I think it's a really good thing. You know, John, Warner Brothers has a long legacy of having filmmaker relationships that last a while. Kubrick was with Warner Brothers from 71 to 99 when Eyes Wide Shut came out. You had people like Clint Eastwood, who's Malpaso, his company's been there, 50 years? You had Richard Donner was based on the Warner lot. Joel Silver as a producer was based on the Warner lot. And I think we haven't seen Warner Brothers pivot this way, certainly not under Kevin Tsujihara. And it's nice to see that Warner Brothers as a studio bringing filmmakers into the fold. It gives them a place to work from. It can solidify their reputations and relationships with people. And I think it's a bold move for the studio, and it's something that really, I mean, it needed to happen. They needed to do this. I mean, I think it's great all the way around. It's great for Matt Reeves, you know? I mean, the guy's an incredibly talented filmmaker.
Absolutely.
Lock him up.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I love that they're giving this auteur, you know, kind of, let's get you in our corral, right? Let's bring you in here, because obviously what he did worked.
Yeah.
Right? Matt's vision for Batman was excellent. And I love that the studio is fully backing him. Now, of course, they're doing that because he won, right? He delivered.
Right.
So hopefully the rest of his tenure with Warner Brothers, getting all these first look exclusives and everything, lives up to the expectation. And they continue having a symbiotic relationship where Matt doesn't get stifled creatively. That's my only concern.
And remember, John, Batman's not the first franchise he worked in. What he did with the Apes franchise,
so
incredible. And he's also worked at the cutting edge of effects technology. And so there are very few filmmakers that have his well-rounded understanding of how to make franchise pictures today.
You know, can we bring up that picture of Matt Reeves again? So I am a little bit confused. I did not know that producer Jonathan Boyko, let's bring up Jonathan here for a second. I did not know
What happened?
that producer Jonathan Boyko had signed a deal with Warner Brothers. I guess I got to start looking for a new producer.
Can I start pitching?
I don't see the
Is that okay?
resemblance.
Lunch? Jonathan, I got something for you.
Anyway, look, and again, I think, when I kind of draw the comparison to Terra Genesis, right? If you have something you want to build, you first got to sweep the floor. You got to kind of clear things out. And I think, you know, I have been sitting here, the lone man in the desert who has seen the brilliance of what Warner Brothers has been doing. They've been clearing the floor. And I know everybody's been getting upset that they're clearing the floor, but that's what you got to do when you want to build something better. And I think everybody's agreed that Warner Brothers over the last number of years has needed something better. But to everybody's credit, like, we've only seen them tearing things down. It's easy to cancel things. It's easy to throw things away. The question is, what are you going to build?
Exactly.
And this being their first major move, locking down Matt Reeves to a long-term deal, not just for the Batman universe stuff, but also for his original stuff as well. I think this is a key cornerstone. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's not very big right now on what Warner Brothers has been doing. And I told my friend this, and I stand by it. This is now on video. 2 years from now, this is going to be like when we said that, you watch, everybody's going to come around on Ben Affleck as Batman. Or when we said, you watch, because everybody does it now. But when they announced Robert Pattinson, Twilight, when they announced Robert Pattinson as Batman, everybody poo-pooed on it. We said, you wait, you watch, people are going to come around on it. I'm telling you, 2 years from now, everybody's going to be looking back at the stuff that Warner Brothers is doing today to lay the foundation for what they want this studio to be 2-3 years from now. You watch.
I got a question for you. How long before they announce a deal with James Gunn?
Soon.
I think so too.
Soon. They are. I think James Gunn. I think it'll be immediately after Guardians 3 comes out. I think once Guardians 3 is done and out, they will make, like, I'll tell you what, I think the deal's already done. But I think they will make the announcement that James Gunn has signed a long-term deal with Warner Brothers as well, probably after Guardians.
And another smart move.
Yeah.
Somebody who's delivered for HBO Max. I mean, even though the Suicide Squad didn't do the business and theatrical that we wanted it to,
Peacemaker certainly did.
But the Suicide Squad movie is really, really good.
It's great.
And he made it under their umbrella. So they were probably extremely happy to work with him both on a television project and a movie project because
that's the difference. See, that's what I think the difference is between the old Warner Brothers and the new Warner Brothers. The old Warner Brothers looks at the box office of Suicide Squad, which, let's call it what it is. It was disappointing. The box office of Suicide Squad was disappointing, but the movie was fantastic. The old Warner Brothers is, didn't do business. The new Warner Brothers is, you know what? You made good content. Now, whether or not that does business, that's not the director's responsibility. That's on us.
Yep.
That's on us to market it right, to put it in a position to succeed. All we can ask our filmmakers to do is to make great content. And if you make great content, we're in business with you.
And what's really interesting, and somebody's got to write a book or an article on this, Peacemaker following up Suicide Squad seemed at first like, they got stuck doing this show.
It seemed like a bad idea.
It seemed like, that it was going to fail. You know, I mean, it might have been good in the initial stages before Suicide Squad had come out, but that was a win, man. That was a win that people probably thought, that's not, what are we going to do with this Peacemaker show that follows a failed box office film?
Dude, I'll call myself on it. I was iffy.
Me too.
I was very iffy on it. The first trailer for Peacemaker came out. I'm like, that doesn't look very good. But look at what it turned into be.
You know who wasn't iffy on it? HBO Max.
Yeah, HBO Max.
They knew.
And it looks like, and you know, we've heard recently about James Gunn is making, I mean, we've already heard the Warner Brothers people saying we've got a lot of plans with James Gunn. So we'll see that. So they locked down guys like Gunn, Reeves. I mean, let's see what's coming down the future. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Matt Reeves signing a big overall deal with Warner Brothers. They specifically call out future Batman projects that they're going to be doing with him. Clearly, they got to learn to plan for this. What do you think about it? Whatever the thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with them. Whenever you guys come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
This one comes from Colin Tipton. Hey, crew, longtime viewer. Another one bites the dust as Variety confirms that Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves' animated series Batman Cape Crusader is no longer coming out. I'd love to say that this was a surprise, but with how many animated projects have been erased from HBO Max, this news is anything but surprising. It's clear animation doesn't have a future on the streaming giant. Were you excited for this show, and what are your thoughts?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Colin. I was intrigued by the show. I was never excited by it. I mean, listen, I was a big fan of the Batman originals, the original animated series. I mean, who didn't like that show? I mean, that was great. But I was not... but I was intrigued when they did the when they did the DC Fandom thing and they announced the Cape Crusader. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So I would say, listen, I would have been tuning in for it. And by the way, I still will. But it has been axed at HBO Max, but Warner Brothers Animation is still making the show. And they're going to shop it around. They're going to find another home for it. So it'll be on there. What is really interesting about this is that a number of other, this wasn't the only one they canceled, but again, a number of these other shows will also be shopped at other networks. They also announced at the same time that a number of other animated projects are going to be, cut off the HBO Max thing, but HBO or Warner Brothers Animation will still continue to make them, try to shop them elsewhere. That's good. All right. This comes us from the folks over at Variety, who said the following. HBO Max has canceled 6 upcoming animated series, including Batman Cape Crusader, Variety has learned. The project was ordered to series in May 2021 with Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves attached to executive produce. There are plans to shop it to platforms besides HBO Max, which means it's probably going to end up being on air anyway. The decision not to release the series on HBO Max is part of a larger trend as parent company Warner Brothers Discovery largely divests from kids and family content. I think that last line is the key. The new Warner Brothers has a vision for what they want the network and they want the whole company to be. And we've seen them culling away a lot of stuff. We just talked about Matt Reeves signing the new deal about what they are building, but it is clear that they're not going to try to be all things to all people. And part of that is that we are not going to be putting our resources into family content, children's content, and for the most part animated, although they did say there is going to be some animated content that comes out, probably more adult skewing animated content coming in the future. Again, it's through moves like these, and we were just talking about this, Rob, during the Matt Reeves topic. We are finally starting to see, like all we've seen lately is just the axe of Zaslav. I think we are now just at the beginning stages of seeing what it is Warner Brothers envisions itself being a couple of years from now. Warner Brothers, HBO Max, things like that. And to some people, it'll be great. They're not going to waste, quote unquote, waste resources on content that people don't come to HBO for. They don't come to HBO for the animated stuff or the family stuff or whatever. And they can put those resources into things like James Gunn projects or Matt Reeves projects or things like that. So, I mean, we're starting to get a bit of a picture here. You see this story. What stands out to you? I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed, but at least Cape Crusader will still be airing somewhere because Warner Brothers is still making it. What do you think?
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if they're defining what it is they're going to be as a company. The Discovery side of things is already taken care of. They've had very successful non-scripted shows, and they're going to keep doing that. And those are more adult-oriented shows. And this is a highbrow, upscale company now, and they're going to keep it that way. Like we've talked about how HBO is, again, the Tiffany standard, those blue boxes with the white ribbons. They want to have those top-flight shows. But I think also something else, I would say that this was kind of they have a really expensive J.J. Abrams deal, $500 million. I think that's the first thing that David Zaslav looked at and said, how can we get rid of this?
Yeah, because they called his other big project. What was it? Demimonde?
Yeah.
Demimonde.
They axed that one.
This huge, gigantic science fiction project that was in deep into development, got rid of that. And I think that they're trying to divest themselves of the J.J. Abrams business.
I don't think you're wrong.
And this is part of that, even though Matt Reeves comes from that Bad Robot stable of filmmakers. But I still think it's like that was from a different regime. That was a different deal. David Zaslav didn't make that deal. So he's going to be swinging his axe, making sure he can get rid of that limb, I think.
And clearly, Matt Reeves was also attached as a producer on this. Clearly, he doesn't mind it getting axed because he immediately signed a re-up deal with the whole thing. Chris, you see this. There's a lot of moving pieces here with this, but what are the things that stand out to you?
I mean, obviously, I was a little disappointed hearing about this because I love Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, who did the animated series originally. I'm a big fan of what Bruce Timm, for the most part, has done with Warner Brothers animation properties. Killing Joke, not so much, but other properties, very, very much enjoyed. I think it'd be remiss to not bring up how many animated projects have left HBO Max right now. And I don't know how that's working. I'm just speculating here. None of this is scripture by any means, y'all. But when you take away properties, it is another way to save money. You're not paying people residuals anymore. You're not paying people on the back end of having their shows be up and continue running on there. So that is another way that you can save money from this app before you find places for them. I'm just a little bummed out by this. I understand they're trying to figure out what they want to do and what they want their image to be. However, I have so many friends on the production side of this who are animators who have worked tirelessly, and their shows were just untimely ripped. They were just taken away very, very quickly. Hours and hours of work for people who worked through the pandemic without any breaks. And that's heartbreaking. Same with the voice actors who were building home studios and trying to figure out how to continue working during this time. To have their shows taken away just really, really upsets me. And I hope that Warner Brothers finds a home for them soon. And it doesn't have to be on HBO Max. I completely understand this brand identity, but I really hope that they stop treating animation like this second-class medium, because it's not. It's beautiful and creative and innovative.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be what they want their identity to be.
Which I totally understand. Right. But if you own the property still, either let them run free or find a really great home for them.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. Like with something, especially something like Cape Crusader, you want to see it. Yeah, this sounds weird. I know this is going to sound like a weird. I actually see Peacock as a really good home for
I'd love
Cape Crusader. I really do. I think that fits in really well with there. Did you have some on that? Ray?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the last 3 things I've watched, if you looked at whoever signed on to HBO Max on my TV, thank you, first of all, because I'm not subscribing to it. But the last three things I watched was the Batman and Superman and Shazam, that animated film,
Right.
Justice League Dark, and then
Justice League
Justice League Frontier. Those are the last 3 things I watched. So
Ray, that's one of my
I
favorite
like that
ones.
the animation is there. Are they moving everything? Are they moving all those DC movies? Do
I
we
don't
know?
I don't know at this point.
Are they just?
A lot of things seem to be in flux. We had a whole bunch of Cartoon Network properties first get pulled, and it seems like now it's just kind of anything could go. It really depends on what they decide
Again,
their
I
identity
think-
could be.
Back to that Star Trek reference, I think we are right now in the middle of the Terra Genesis going on. So a lot of people see a lot of destruction and a lot of fire. but it's going to, what comes out on the other side, that's what they're building towards.
I also wouldn't be surprised if they do develop their own animation network or something, because like Kids WB was a staple for such a long period of time. They might be wanting to start
That's
something.
my childhood, man. When you could go watch Freakazoid.
I used to
Static
work with
Shock,
Kevin
shit.
Rubio editing promos for Kids WB, and he was a genius writing those things, man.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think they're going to be able to find, will another network step up and say, yeah, we'd like to have this Batman Cape Crusader on it, maybe some of these other projects? Do you think nobody else picks them up? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a second to thank another sponsor of today's show, our friends over at MasterClass. Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. All of us here at the John Campea Show absolutely love MasterClass. With MasterClass, you can learn from the world's best minds, anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn television writing from Shonda Rhimes, improve your comedy skills from Steve Martin, or you can learn filmmaking from James Cameron himself. With over 100 different classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to learn is closer than you think. I have personally watched Bob Iger's lessons on business strategy and leadership at least 6 or 7 times. Every time I watch it, I learn something new that I get to apply to my own business as well. And the best thing about it is you don't have to sit down and watch an entire thing all at once. You can watch the individual segments or just as much as you want in any sitting at a time. So guys, when it comes to MasterClass, I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every masterclass, and as a John Campea Show listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. And thank you to our friends at MasterClass for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This comes from Box Office Fan. How big was the first Knives Out? So big, theater chains are begging for part 2 to get a limited release in select theaters. Theater owners are saying they have no few new films, and a big film like Knives Out 2 should go to theaters. What do you think of theater chains upset over Knives Out, and should Netflix give it a full wide release? Was it a bad idea to sell it to Netflix to start with?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Okay, so here's the thing. There have been whispers and rumors, whatever, that Netflix may actually want to put the sequel to Knives Out, Glass Onion. Terrible title, but maybe it'll make sense once we see the movie. Knives Out 2. I love the original Knives Out in theaters, which I think all of us at this table think that would have been a really good idea. And we know for a fact that Netflix and exhibitors, that's another word for movie theaters, have been talking about putting it up, but apparently they have not been able to come to a deal. And it's actually a pretty interesting thing about what the main hang-up of the deal is, because you would think the main hang-up would be the theatrical window, the how long it has to be in theaters before you then put it out on Netflix. But it's actually something else, which is kind of interesting. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who wrote the following. There is still a big chasm between Netflix and most exhibitors with regards to the exclusive theatrical window, says Eric Handler, a media analyst at MKM Partners. I also think you aren't maximizing profits using shorter windows. You're damn right they're not. We'll talk about that in just a second. Yet, film exhibition industry insiders suggest it's not just about the theatrical window, which already shrank dramatically during the pandemic. Cinema owners are the ones who are concerned about the marketing power behind the Netflix films. An exclusive theatrical window really doesn't mean much without a direct push to get customers to theaters. And exhibitors don't want to fill their marquees with titles that didn't get a concentrated promotion for the silver screens. In other words, the theaters are saying to Netflix, we would love to have Knives Out 2 on our screens, but unless you commit to putting some money into marketing it, there's really no point in us having it on our screens. I want to cover a couple things here. Number one, the analyst, the industry analyst saying, you're not maximizing profits by trying to shrink theatrical limits. You're actually minimizing profits there. It would be a very, very good idea for Netflix to put this movie in theaters. You put this movie in theaters, I mean, other examples have already proven it. You put it in theaters first, give it its full theatrical run. When you launch it on Netflix, it will have a bigger launch on Netflix than if you just skip theaters and launch it on Netflix. That's the reality. Every single case study has proved this. If they want to have a big, big debut, I mean, listen, it's going to have a big debut on Netflix regardless. But the data has proved that if you put it in theaters first, give it a full theatrical run, get all the talk and buzz about it, and then you put it on Netflix, much bigger debut and opening for it than it would have had. So there's that. But this notion of that, I hadn't really considered this part of it. That's great. We as movie theaters would love to have it on our screens, and theaters need it. Theaters need it because right now, although the box office has been recovering, and it has, right now, box office is 30% down from where we were in 2019 before the pandemic. Now, of course, a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's over 40% fewer movies that have come out. There's less product. So the theaters need product. They need movies on their screen. A Knives Out 2 would be fantastic for that. Netflix would clearly benefit from it as well. But they're right. There's a $30 million question here. We need Netflix to pay $30 million to market it.
At least.
At least. Like, it's great for a movie theaters to put on their screens, but if nobody knows it's playing on their screens, it doesn't help them very much. So everything from the theatrical window dispute, which I think Netflix has got to get over. They just got to get over that. It will be better for them if they do. Look at the success Amazon's been having. So there's the theatrical window issue, but there's also this, you got to market the damn thing. And that is where I understand Netflix being a little bit more apprehensive, because it's like, hey, listen, we've just lost billions and billions and billions of dollars. Are we really wanting to sink? And we paid $450 million for the rights to do Knives Out 2 and 3. Are we really going to pony up another 30 just for marketing it? And it's tough. Rob, you'd think it would be an easy thing, right? Oh yeah, just drop the movie in theaters. And often to us, including me, it seems like that. But I guess there are some more sticky things they got to get around. What do you take away from this?
Well, look, it's interesting. You look at, there's articles about how HBO has spent $100 million on marketing House of the Dragon, a show, a streaming show.
And look at the results.
The results are there. And like we talked about earlier before we went on this morning, John, Netflix gets money from subscribers, and they expect by releasing a movie in theaters, to them, they're like, what advantage, just because unless we get more subscribers, what difference does it make to us? I would think first, one, you'd want to defray your $450 million that you paid for this franchise. So you put it out in the theater with a big marketing budget, 30 million, 50 million, even 100 million spent on marketing. Release this like a big movie. If this is the big franchise that they think it is, you're gonna make, I don't know what you'll make globally, but maybe domestically you'll get $200-300 million. And that defrays what you've spent. Then you tell people, coming exclusively to Netflix, the hit film Knives Out, The Glass Onion.
Yeah, people who don't have Netflix went to theaters, saw it, loved it, and now it's only going to be on Netflix. I'm signing up for Netflix.
I mean, it's just crazy to me that this is not a model that is new for Hollywood. You market a film, people know it's there, you create the hype, they go to the theater, and then it creates value across the board for that film now and forever. You know, it's crazy to me that, like, Taylor went and saw Barbarian, right? We talk about that. You said, where's the marketing for that? That movie's awesome. Apparently, Taylor saw it. Where's that marketing? No one knows it's coming. If people don't know it's coming, then how are they going to be able to go see it or even subscribe to your streaming service? Why are they going to care? If Knives Out makes a big splash at the theater, oh my God, it's on Netflix already or whatever, I'm going to sign up. You know, whether it's a 45-day window, a 90-day window, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to market your shows. I don't get it. In a theater.
You know what's funny? I saw a clip of Matt Damon on Hot Ones.
I saw that clip,
right?
Yep.
And they talked a bit about the DVD model. And the DVD model is a great example of that. Back in the day when DVDs made any money. But the thing was,
and what he didn't say in that was home video as well. Not just DVD, but all home video with the videotapes as well.
But aside from the fact that they were just bigger movies, the movies that had theatrical leases always sold more DVDs.
Yep.
Always sold more DVDs. Anyway, Chris, you're seeing this. There's a lot of moving pieces here. What do you think about it?
I mean, my biggest takeaway here is I have always assumed they were going to release this in theaters, even though it's Netflix, because the original was an awards darling. It got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Anna de Armas and Daniel Craig both got Golden Globe nominations. If you want to have some prestige, which we know Netflix does, they've got Academy Award winning films on there. You got to do a release. And with something that is this big, I mean, first of all, I think Ryan Johnson is happy he sold it to Netflix. He made a ton of money.
He made ridiculous cash.
Stupid money. But this, in theory, is a relatively inexpensive franchise, right? You're not doing a lot of CGI. You're paying for talent. It's typically contained locations if it's like the last film. So this is something where I feel like you could only make money. And it's a film that people want to see in theaters. I mean, that whole whodunit Agatha Christie aspect of it, it really caught on last time with the original film. And I know so many people went back to see it and catch little things of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that. Now when I saw it the second time, I did realize this moment and I really understood this callback. And oh my gosh, I have this whole other understanding. It's a repeat view. And then when it's exclusively on Netflix, creating that value like you were talking about, Rob, people are going to come back to it over and over again. Because what do we love? Murder. Americans love murder. What do we love even more?
Murder show.
A show we've watched already, so we don't feel anxious and we feel smart while we're watching it.
John, what you brought up, that Matt Damon interview, there was something he said that was really interesting. He said it's like you open a movie twice. You had your theatrical run, and then when it went to home video, it was like we opened it again.
Right.
Whether it was videotape, the videotape market, remember, it would explode. When a new movie would come out, blockbusters were filled with racks of that new film, which means people had to buy those tapes. And with DVD, everybody was buying DVDs, so it's like it opened twice. So it doubled its money. Now, when a movie goes to streaming, it essentially goes into a dead black hole where there is no extra added revenue aside from subscribers. But if you're Netflix already has a lot of subscribers, and so how many subscribers do they think they're going to get new? 5 million, 10 million? You're never going to get that based on one movie.
All right, guys. Question is for you. It looks like Knives Out is going straight to Netflix and going to get probably a limited theatrical run, probably in just a handful of theaters, but it's not going to get that full theatrical run. A lot of us were kind of hoping, and maybe it would make sense for them to do both for Netflix and for the theaters, but it sounds like there's a few hurdles they couldn't overcome. What do you think about this? What would your ideas be? Whatever those are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This one comes from Lucas Gonzalez. 6 seasons and a movie? The prophecy is coming to life. Dan Harmon has confirmed the rumor that Joel McHale and Alison Brie have been spreading for a while. The Community movie is going to happen. I really love the show and never gave up hope for the movie. This is one of the best series ever, truly ahead of its time, with a meta-narrative that redefined the genre. I'm super excited.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Lucas. All right, first thing I got to say is this. To anybody that's getting overly too excited about this, the first headline I saw about this, the first headline I read was, and actually, can you bring up the webpage there, Jonathan? The first headline I read was from a site that I love. I love CBR. We quote CBR here all the time. They're one of the 14 or 15 sites I read every day. Love CBR. But CBR put in their headline, like many others did, that damn Harmon confirms the movie is officially happening. That is not true. It'd be very, very, People learn the English language. What is actually happening here is neither confirmation nor official. All right, and we'll read Dan Harmon's quote here directly here in a second. So for anybody getting too excited, it is neither confirmed nor is it official that a Community movie is happening. There is, however, good news and things that point us towards that. Absolutely, but I just want to get that out there. The language matters. So let's look into this here first quickly, okay? This is what actually was said. This comes to us from the great folks over at CBR, who wrote the following. That's the wrong quote there, Jonathan. There we go. Nope, no, that's.
I don't think I have the quote.
Oh, we don't have that one. Okay.
No,
well, then I will just read off myself here.
Oh,
so just put it to me here. So this is what was actually said. I'll confirm, says Dan Harmon, what Alison Brie said, which is that legitimacy is here. Conversations and agreements are happening, Harmon said in an interview with The Wrap. There's a story. Who knows if we'll end up sticking to it? And now negotiations happen. Does that sound like it's confirmed and official?
Oh, no.
No, it's not. But it is good news. It is good news. Anyway, Harmon said in an interview with The Wrap, there is a story and who knows if we'll stick to it. And now negotiations happen. While Harmon did elaborate that the future remains uncertain, he also confirmed that the prospect of Community movie in the future is not an if, but a when. When you put up the percentage chances together, it's like you have to account for maybe the world blowing up or another virus happening, he said. But as far as the industry is concerned, it's a matter of time and not if, for sure. Harmon also confirmed that just because conversations around the movie are moving forward, it could still take some time to become a reality. So the good news for fans of Community is that Dan Harmon is saying, hey, it's all heading in the right direction. We feel at this point like it's a when, not an if. But he's also said that it is not confirmed and it is not official. Their negotiations are happening. No agreements have been made. No contracts signed. It is in and all heading in a good direction. Okay, so with that clarified, that contrary to headlines, it is not official and it is not confirmed. Things are looking good. They are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. The conversations are happening. They're in negotiations. They're trying to make this happen. And it looks today more than any other time before that a Community movie could actually happen. And here's the thing. A lot of naysayers, and understandably so because they're correct to do so, will point back to Arrested Development. That, yeah, Arrested Development was a beloved show, but coming back to revisit it turned out to be a mistake. And despite the fact that everybody said, oh man, you do another Arrested Development, everybody will watch it. The ratings didn't do so good. Not a lot of people watched it. Like, it's not an automatic. But here's the thing about Community. That show, aside from talent, take the talent aside, that's a stupidly cheap thing to make. With like 4 sets and like limited extras and whatever. This is a stupidly inexpensive thing to do. Now, if you can get Donald Glover to sign back up, and that'll be key. I think you're going to lose a lot of people instantly if you don't get
You
Gambino
gotta have
back.
Troy.
Yeah, you gotta
Troy
have.
and Abed in the morning.
you gotta have both of them there. So if you can get him signed up, he's probably the most expensive piece to the puzzle. But if you can get that cast back, and they'll probably never get Chevy Chase back, like with all the stories about that. So, okay, do it without Chevy Chase, that's fine. But aside from Chevy, which how great would it be though if they did get Chevy back? Like that would be a really nice story that they were able all to mend fences and bring it all, but that's probably never going to happen. But you bring back the whole cast other than Chevy Chase and you make this thing for like cast aside for like $15 million. Where's the risk? There's like no risk.
Especially for a streamer.
Especially for a streamer. But I mean, if you could do this for the right price, and that would be the key. And who knows what the price would be? Who knows what Ken Jeong wants? Who knows what Donald Glover wants? Who knows whatever the name of the lead guy is? I keep forgetting. Joe McHale. Who knows what he wants?
From Mercer Island.
Liz, if you can get all this production with cast and everything, you get that all made for $30 million. I think this becomes attractive to even traditional movie theatrical release because now you're talking about a movie that would probably need to make about $90 million overall to be profitable. you don't think that could look kind of appetizing to a Universal or to a Paramount or to whoever would ultimately end up being the distributor of this? I mean, and you're right, because of the price would be so low, it could also look very appealing to a streamer.
And production costs, though, this movie doesn't cost a lot. You're not going to Mordor.
Nothing.
You know, there's no effects.
I mean,
you're not getting into F-18s flying off carriers. You know, you can shoot this.
You're either renting a community college space or having one your soundstage. And honestly, renting one is probably cheaper. When we produced a short this year, we were able to get a community college space for like $200 for 5 hours of filming.
Yeah, LACC, man.
Yeah.
I've shot there a number of times.
If I can afford to make this movie, I think surely Peacock could.
Right.
But let me ask you this question, though. I mean, and by the way, like a lot of people saying it would be Peacock. Sure, maybe. But again, I think theatrical release. But they did get Donald Glover back for that. Remember during the pandemic, they did the Zoom cast read through
Yes.
one of the
Yeah.
episodes. So let me ask you this. Can they do this if Donald Glover didn't come back? Because obviously at the time, Donald Glover wasn't Donald Glover.
Right.
Now he is. Do you think they can still do this without him coming back?
They could, but should they?
Yeah, I think that's the right question.
And you know what? I'll tell you something. Obviously, one of the things that you hear from other ensemble legacy shows, it's not necessarily the actors, it's their people. It's their managers, it's their agents. They get in the mix and they're like, well, you can't have Donald Glover without $5 million.
Right.
Well, with something like this, you're probably going to have to go favored nations where everyone's going to get paid $1 million. They'll try and agent you and everything, but this is something where the cast would have to be in solidarity. Everybody, and I can imagine, look, I don't know any of these people and everybody wants to get paid. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But to do something like this, the only way it's going to get done is if all this cast comes back together to do it. Once you start losing one cast and Ken Jeong could say, you know what, I want $5 million. And then
the
it
Masked
becomes,
Singer has done pretty well for me.
yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's so it would have to be, and I'm sure Dan Harmon as a creator could sit there and go, look, guys, this is either going to happen or it's not. It's up to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Come together. It's favored nations. You all do it for $1.
Yeah.
And if you do that, we get to make it. If
Exactly.
you don't, we won't.
Well, it's truly such an ensemble show. Obviously, everyone has their favorites. You know, you definitely pick out people. I constantly send that little meme of Donald Glover screaming, "My emotions!" You know, but everyone has to come back for this to be successful.
Okay.
And it doesn't take long. They could shoot this in what, 4 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you probably could. You have the right script. As long as you don't try to go nuts with it, just really make it character and dialogue based. It could be
Yeah.
great. Okay, so let's put it down to this percentage chance that this movie actually happens with everything we just heard from Dan Harmon. Chris, I'll start with you. What are the chances, percentage wise, that this actually happens?
I'd go over 75%,
So you're
unless somebody is a real poopy about like getting paid. I think this will get made.
Rob?
I'm only going to go 40. 40%.
Ah, okay.
Now, if I'm directing,
Okay, Matt.
what can we bring to the table here?
Well, you do got that first look deal with Warner Brothers. I'm going to go with you. Actually, that's the same number. I say 75%. Like when Harmon says that, at this point, it really feels like a when it happens, not an if it happens. Again, that there's still a lot of things that can go wrong and whatever. So I'll go as high as 75%. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Were you a Community fan? Would you be interested in a movie, or are you like, nah, we saw what happened to Arrested Development. We're good with Community the way it is. I don't know. And do you think it's actually going to happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and hear from another sponsor of our show today. They're making my ass feel real good right now. My friends over at MeUndies. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, MeUndies. Now, guys, we've all heard of gut instinct, but have you ever heard of butt instinct? It's when your butt tells you it wants new undies. Listen to your butt. Luckily for you, we work with MeUndies, makers of the most buttery soft and sustainable undies, bralettes, and socks that exist. Guys, for too long, I lived my life wearing those Amazon or Walmart 20-pack cheap underwear that I thought were just fine until I tried MeUndies. Now it's like my nether regions are in a Palm Springs resort. So guys, let your skin sing a song of joy with undies, socks, and bralettes that feel as if they're spun from silken clouds. Guaranteed to be the softest stuff you've ever felt in your life, their signature micromodal fabric is sustainable, breathable, and stretchy as heck. Available in sizes extra small to 4XL, they have new colors and prints dropping weekly, so there's always something exciting to check out. Try out their free-to-join membership for free shipping on every order and exclusive perks, like an item shipped to your door every month, secret sales, and early access to their newest stuff. MeUndies has a great offer for all John Campea Show viewers and listeners. For any first-time purchaser, you get 20% off plus free shipping and returns. To get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. That's MeUndies.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at MeUndies for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 4. Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
This comes from Alphonse Vieira. Greetings, John. Okay, before I ask my question, you need to make sure Rob is sitting down.
Uh-oh.
Okay? Hey, you sitting down? All right. I read that Neil Gaiman is saying that despite the fact that Sandman has been the #1 show for weeks, there is still a good chance that it may not get picked up for a second season by Netflix. To me, this is just crazy talk. Why on earth would Netflix walk away from a huge hit like this? What are your thoughts?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, we've been talking about Sandman. I was not excited about Sandman. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I didn't think it would be good or anything. It just wasn't something I was super enthusiastic about. Heard great things, and I sat down to watch it. And we've still not finished season 1, but we're 7 episodes in. Love it, particularly episode 6, one of the best episodes of TV I've seen in a while. Really enjoying this show, and apparently a lot of people do because it has ranked at the top of the Netflix top 10 globally for a while, and it's getting rave reviews. And yet, Neil Gaiman, the creator, is saying, it might not get picked up for a second season. Now, why? Let's talk about that. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. The Sandman, Netflix's TV adaptation of Neil Gaiman's sprawling comic book series, is approaching its third week at the top of Netflix global top 10 list. Answering some questions on Twitter over the weekend, Gaiman explained why fans shouldn't assume the show's massive popularity will lead to a season 2. Because Sandman is a really expensive show, Gaiman tweeted, responding to a commenter asking why season 2 is even a question. Gaiman continued, and for Netflix to release the money to let us make another season, we have to perform incredibly well. So yes, we've been the top show in the world for the last 2 weeks. That still may not be enough. That comes to us again from the folks over at Variety. Now listen, all of us are still in the mindset, and it's understandable, of traditional television. If a show does really well, gets lots of eyeballs on it, that means the network is making more and more money. Therefore, no brainer, you make another thing. But the world of streaming is different. Netflix doesn't make 1 cent from 10 billion people watching it versus if 10 people watched it. It doesn't make any difference. The show's value on Netflix directly comes from, do you acquire new subscribers? And if you've already subscribed, then everybody who's going to watch, and this is one of the problems we've talked about this before, about why Netflix will take some insanely popular shows and cancel them after 1, 2, or 3 seasons. It's because they look at it. What's that? Mindhunter. Mindhunter, exactly. Is a great example of that, actually. It's because of this. They're like, anybody who was going to sign up to Netflix to watch this has already done so. And therefore, if we spend another $50 million making another season, another $20 million making another season, that's just $20 million we're throwing away. And so we move on. And Neil Gaiman puts it perfectly. Sandman's an expensive show, man. It's a gorgeously beautiful show. And it costs them a lot of money to make it. So for Netflix to greenlight a second season, they got to believe that more and more people will sign up to the network, or it'll create an atmosphere where they'll be able to retain more and more of their subscribers if they put out the money. But does the money justify what they're going to get out of it? Are they getting bang for their buck? So those of us who love stuff like Mindhunter or The Dark Crystal or Sandman may find that they put out something that we love, but then they don't continue on with it because they're not making any more money off it. Now, every once in a while, you get an exception like Stranger Things. Stranger Things has become like their calling card. Stranger Things is like Netflix's calling card. So they have kept that thing going for sure. Thank God, because the latest season is the best season they've ever had.
Good.
So what will happen with Sandman? I'm not sure. Rob, obviously, you have more emotionally invested in this topic than anybody else I know.
Okay,
but you hear Gaiman's words on this. What do you think?
I have to compose myself.
Okay, buddy, you got it.
Here's the thing. You put it perfectly. I mean, I'm hoping that this show continues word of mouth. People are finding that this show is very unique, just like the comic was. The problem that they're facing is, so the Sandman, even when they drop that final episode, you're 18 issues into the Sandman. They're going right in order of the comic for the most part. The next season is going to be one of the most expensive seasons. There's no way to do it cheap. It's big because you've got A Midsummer Night's Dream, and maybe they'll do Facade or not, but then you've got the Season of Mists storyline, which is huge. It's huge. All the gods, they go to hell again. I mean, it's huge. There's no way to do it cheap. So they're not only facing the subscriber issue, the money issue, but season 2, it's like, hey, can you guys do it for a little cheaper? No, they can't. I mean, and so there's a lot of obstacles in front of it. I, for one, I've wanted to see Season of Mist brought to the screen since I read it 30 years ago. I really hope that they do it, because I don't think I've ever wanted to see a season 2 of a TV show more in my entire life than I want to see Sandman. But I want to see it done right. But I'm hoping there is something about this show, John, that is casting a spell over people. So I'm hoping that maybe it'll have some legs as far as Netflix is concerned. People will hear about it, they'll tune in, and they'll see repeat
It's
viewing
been number
happening.
one for weeks.
I know. I think like the comic, when people were open to it, it casts a spell. And I
Right.
think the show has that. And hopefully, especially with this bonus episode, look, if all we get are these 18 issues of the comic translated into 11 episodes of TV, if that's all we get, I'll be like, you know what? That's a great adaptation of my favorite comic of all time. It'd be better if we get season 2, though.
By the way, Neil Gaiman earlier planted the seeds on Twitter suggesting that, hey, the way the rights are structured, if Netflix doesn't want to pick it up, somebody else could. I mean, it's a big price tag, but somebody else could theoretically. Chris, you're here. I mean, to the way we are conditioned to thinking, the notion that the number one show in the world may not get a season 2 is just ludicrous to us. But there are underlying realities. What do you think about when you hear this?
Full plaid, John. We've gone full plaid. Well, and I think it's so smart that Neil Gaiman's taken to Twitter to continue explaining to fans, no. I understand that this is the number one show in almost every country. That's not enough. I really need you all to continue showing up, to continue subscribing, to tell every single person you know to get a Netflix account and have them watch this show. He's really doing some wonderful, wonderful guerrilla marketing here.
Yep.
I think this is the best adaptation we possibly could have gotten out of this, because truly going into it, I went, I don't know if we're going to stick the landing. And boy, howdy did they. If you're not a comic book fan, I think it still appeals to you. My brother is much more of a gamer than a comic book guy. And when we turned on that bonus episode, he was just enthralled. And that was the very first episode he watched. And it was, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go back and watch the rest of this, because
And
they
it's
did such a good job.
because you can watch that bonus episode
Exactly.
and it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't affect the narrative at all. I don't want to live in a world where there is a gray man cinematic universe and not a season 2 of this.
So long,
Well
Chris.
put. Bravo.
Thanks.
Very
Bravo.
well,
Hey, guys.
well done.
Oh my
Well done.
gosh. Okay, well, I'm done. Thanks.
But there's an analytic that a lot of people don't realize. One of the most important analytics that all the streamers look at, and this is a real thing. The analytic of what is the first person a new subscriber watches on our service.
Yep.
They track that stuff. That is a majorly, if not the most important figure and number that these streaming services, including Netflix, has, is they look at, okay, person 17BX5 just signed up. What was the first thing they watched? What was the first thing they went to? So if you are a huge fan of Sandman and you want to watch it, when you sign up to Netflix, make sure the very first thing you load up on Netflix is Sandman, because that will probably go a long way to helping it out.
Hey, newly minted college students, when you're sitting there in your dorm room about to use your parents' Netflix pass,
Because you ain't studying.
Yep.
please just call mom and dad up and go, hey, mom and dad, I think it's only fair that I have my own Netflix account and you tune into Sandman, because tell them RMB said I want Sandman season 2.
Yeah, Cowboy
Please.
Hey, you're going to get kicked off the account anyway, so this is the
All
time.
right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Have you been watching Sandman? And maybe you've loved it, maybe you haven't. What do you think about the idea that like the show that's been #1 show in the world for a few weeks may not get a season 2? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, I told you today was packed. Let's move on to our 5th and final main topic today. Chris, what is our 5th main topic today?
Our final topic comes from Diego. OMG, guys and gals. The premiere of House of the Dragon has immediately come out of the gate, scorching the record for this year's most watched premiere on premium cable or streaming. The premiere of the show more than doubled that of Stranger Things Season 4, with over 2.6 million households tuning in the first 6 hours that the show launched. This is obviously a massive success and a much-needed win for WBD. Given these initial numbers and how well received the first episode was, how big do you think this show could go over the next 9 weeks? Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, Diego, thanks a lot for saying that in. And I had a friend of mine send me that number initially, that the premiere of House of the Dragon in the initial 6 hours more than doubled the existing record of the first viewing of the new season of Stranger Things. That's crazy. Equaling it would have been crazy. Beating it by a bit would have been crazy. Doubling it is insane. And the insanity continues because the show, the premiere, of course, we just did our after show for it yesterday. If you want to hear some more discussion about it, check it out. It's on the front page of the YouTube channel. Go and find it there. Our Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon after show. But it shattered the record. The HBO, the long-standing storied network of HBO, shattered their record for the most views of a premiere episode, of a debut episode, by miles. This comes from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter who write the following. The House of the Dragon also brought in the largest single night audience for HBO since the series finale of its parents drew 19.3 million viewers in May of 2019. The best single night tally since was the season 2 finale of Euphoria in February, which had 6.6 million viewers across platform viewers. House of the Dragon also eclipsed the audience for their series debut Game of Thrones, 2.2 million same-day viewers, according to Nielsen in 2011. So, House of the Dragon had 10 million viewers for its debut episode. The context here is insane. The original Game of Thrones debut episode, 2.2 million. Since the Game of Thrones finale, which is the largest watched thing ever, with 19 million viewers, the biggest thing in the 3.5 years since Game of Thrones ended, the most watched thing on HBO was the season 2 finale of Euphoria with 6.6. In 3.5 years, 6.6. House of the Dragon comes out, almost doubles it. And that's just for the premiere episode. I know people who have been dying to watch the show. I still haven't had a chance to watch it yet. And the show is good.
It is good.
So we could see these numbers go up. It's easy for us to hear numbers like 5 million, 6 million, 12 million, whatever, and kind of lose the weight of it. But when you look at what HBO did and what Warner Brothers did with this, they put $100 million into marketing this thing. They believed in this project. And they believe this could be, I mean, ever since Game of Thrones, every streaming service has been looking for their Game of Thrones. You know, we've seen Amazon say, we think this could be our Game of Thrones. We've Peacock say, we think this could be our Game of Thrones. This is their new Game of Thrones. This is HBO's new Game of Thrones.
Right.
And Game of Thrones carried that network for a long time. If this thing can carry on this momentum, it can be that next thing, nearly doubling the other highest viewed thing in the last 3.5 years in its debut episode. And it pleased people. People liked it. So, Chris, you see this, doubles the numbers of Stranger Things for opening night, shatters the record for the biggest debut ever on HBO, the biggest thing ever watched in the last 3.5 years on the network. There's a lot of win here. What's your takeaway from it?
I mean, I think you said it earlier today. People are thirsty for thrones. They want
Thirsty
it.
for thrones.
Thirsty for thrones. And I also think this means that even if a finale for your original content is subversive and not well received by most, people are willing to return to the IP. I think there's a very small percentage of people who are still doing the, I can't believe anyone would come back to a Game of Thrones property after that abysmal finale. No. We all came back to go, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
How are we going to do this? Because as we were all watching it was, how many people do you think are watching this legitimately or doing well, this ought to be good? And we all came out of that episode, though, for the most part of, oh no, this is going to be some good stuff. This is a great setup episode. So I think it just shows you, again, winning cures everything. Sure, I might not have liked what happened to Danny, but now I'm really invested in this season of this show.
Yeah, blame Danny for that. She was a jerk. Anyway, Rob, like all these numbers, like ton of numbers here. So what's your interpretation of it all?
Well, look, like I said, thirsty for Thrones. It's true because, John, Game of Thrones is, and even going back and rewatching the show all the way through, which I've done, although I might not have been a fan of the 8th season like you are, the entire show in its entirety is an amazing achievement of television. It's so engrossing and it's so fulfilling watching even one episode, various things. This show provides, it gives you that same, at least the premiere episode, we've seen one episode. I'm watching this, there's great care, there's great thought, the acting is great. I mean, this is top drawer, top shelf TV. It doesn't get any better. Now, you might not be a fantasy fan, but this show shows what you get when you make something with great care, with the creators, with George R. R. Martin's involvement, and showrunners that really know what they're doing. This is what, when you have really talented people knowing exactly what they're making, with a network behind them to provide the resources they need, you win.
One of the things that really impressed me about the first episode was there's clearly a lot of world building, reestablishing everything. When you even just look at these massive sets, the detail in everything. And I had a friend of mine, a filmmaker, a friend of ours, who once told me, says, if you want to see what kind of care, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good or not, but if you want to see what kind of care and how much a production company really cares about a certain production, look at the details in the set construction. Do they kind of try to get away with as much as they can, which often can still work? Or can you see love and affection in even the texture of the wood on the rail coming down a set of stairs? And when you go back and look at the first episode, House of the Dragon, these massive sets, these town squares, the individual villager costumes and outfits, the detail is insanely good.
You know what else? The actual quality of the cinematography.
Oh yeah,
Streaming shows. I watch a lot of trailers for what's coming out on Netflix. There is a quality, a style for streaming shows. A lot of it in those romantic shows, they all look the same. They don't look cinematic. This show looks incredible. I mean, and obviously they had 8 seasons over the course of a decade to refine it. But each one of these episodes, you feel like you're watching a movie. And now they've got the dragon effects are to the point where these are the best kinds of visual effects you can get. This is the highest quality. And that shows you feel it as a viewer. You feel it, and it makes you want to continue on. No other fantasy show has this kind of quality.
Now, one of our live viewers, Maps, I believe, in the live chat was just saying the question is, where will they put the Starbucks cup? That's the big question. Where's that Starbucks cup going to go?
Well, Easter egg for you to find.
Oh God, they should do that. They should say to all the fans, like, you know what? In every episode, we're gonna hide a Starbucks cup and see if you can find it in once in every episode. I think that would be like
If you catch them all, you get to be a featured background artist.
We'll fly you out for season 2 and make you a background if you catch them all.
Or we actually just make it part of the canon. Starbucks started in Westeros. Yeah. King's Landing had the first Starbucks.
Ooh, look at you turning on Seattle.
Right there, I'm turning on my hometown. Right there at the waterfront, somewhere at the Blackwater Bay, there is a Starbucks. The first Starbucks.
It was the Starbucks cup that killed Joffrey.
It's true.
It's just sitting on the table. It's like, I want you to know it was me.
That's the name on the cup. It was
a sentient Starbucks cup.
All right, guys. Question is for you. The numbers on this show are like mind-bogglingly big, especially when we put in context of all the stuff that's come before it. What did you think? Have you even had a chance to watch the first episode, House of the Dragon, yet? If so, what did you think of it? Maybe you loved it, maybe you didn't. What do these numbers mean to you? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, with all that done, I told you we had a packed one today. We're now going to open up the super chats, and we're going to go over and spend the rest of the show hearing from you guys. We want to hear your thoughts, opinions, and comments about all the stuff that we've been talking about. But remember, we only keep the super chats open for just a couple of minutes, so make sure you get those in as quickly as you can. But before we get to those questions, we're going to take a second and hear from the final sponsor of today's episode, our friends at BetterHelp. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Guys, long gone are the days that we could afford to just ignore our emotional and mental health. And it's also time that we got over this idea that seeking emotional and mental health is some kind of sign of weakness. You know, when we want to get more physically healthy, we go to the gym and we're proud of that to get our physical bodies healthier and stronger. Well, it's time we gave the same kind of importance to our mental and emotional health, and that's where our friends at BetterHelp come in. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers you video therapy, on the phone, or even live chat-only therapy sessions. And I know a lot of people have thought about starting therapy, but they get held up with the idea that it's going to be really expensive. Well, BetterHelp is much more affordable than traditional in-person therapy. So listen, guys, it's time for us to start taking our mental health far more seriously. Our listeners of the John Campea Show get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp.com/Campea.
And thanks to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Well, now we're going to go over to our premium members and find out what they have to say with our own Ray Ora.
All right, let's get my reading powers on.
Yeah.
Ron H. writes, "Hey, y'all. Yet another great month-anniversary of membership. Thanks for all you do and the community you helped create. BBC rocks. Bring on the filthy." That was a rocky start to my reading power.
That's all right, Ray. We believe in you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ron
Dig
H,
deep
for that.
within yourself.
Okay, Scott Logan writes, "I love that start to House of the Dragon. Looking forward to see more."
So are we.
Yeah. Okay. Josh Molinari writes, "Top Gun passed Infinity War's 679 million domestic total, currently at 684 million.
You know why one danger zone was better than another, apparently. Oh. Sorry, I don't even know if that was funny. I just thought I'd say it.
It wasn't.
I liked it.
Okay.
I thought
Chris,
it was cheesy.
don't give him that.
Okay. Sorry.
I mean, John just walked back out. That joke was so bad. He went to the
I
bathroom
was
again.
coming back into the show, turn around, walk
Yeah,
back
he said,
out.
"I think I need to poop again." I'm just playing.
They can't all be singers.
I'm a fan of cheese.
Chris Patik writes, "I mostly work from home and spend my midday with you. As a radio broadcast professional of over 20 years,
Wow.
you guys have amazing chemistry and feel like old friends. Can't imagine missing a show because I never do. Thank you."
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
That's really nice.
That's high praise. Thank you so
Man.
much. That's really kind of you.
We're all
Thank
such
you,
good
man.
actors too. 'Cause
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Five.
no.
Five.
No, it's the tension in this room all the time is very, very high.
the constant bloodbath. You
When
thought
the-
Game of
when the
Thrones had
cameras
gratuitous
aren't on,
violence.
It's like the morning show around here. Like, not good. Not good. All right. What's
You're our
next?
Reese
Okay,
Witherspoon.
I'm your Reese Witherspoon?
Yeah, you're the plucky one who has ideals.
Wow, you think so much of me.
Well, I never thought of that, but okay.
I'll take
Sure, let's roll with it. All right.
That's on Apple
all
Plus,
right.
by the way. the
Sidious
same
Swift
network.
writes, "My pitch for the next Jurassic series. Open with dinos in the Jurassic era, cut to an asteroid zooming towards Earth. Dinos look up as it passes by Earth. As humanity struggles to exist, they find their humanity or whatever."
I'm so you're saying the meteor misses Earth. What happens if the dinosaurs don't die?
They evolve into gentle, kind beings.
Well, they evolve into birds. I
Yeah.
guess there's that, but
Just becomes that show, The Dinosaurs. remember?
Yeah.
yeah, then
90s?
yeah, basically it's that.
Half
It's not the
dinosaur,
mama.
Which
half
has
human.
the most harrowing finale of all time in
You
television.
know what? Seriously, that is a hella depressing. The way that show ends.
Wait,
Yeah.
are we talking about the comedy show? The
Yeah, the
dinosaurs
sitcom
with
about the
baby,
Sinclairs.
baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
I never saw the
the
finale.
finale. Forget the finale. Just the closing 5 minutes
Oh my
are
god!
massively depressing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Why?
then.
What
Oh my
happened?
gosh.
Well,
I never
The meteor hit or something?
there's an episode of Star Trek Voyager where the dinosaurs
my God.
evolved on they were able to
Of
continue
course there were.
on.
All right, let's keep going.
All right,
What's
last
next?
one from Gorlam Gorlami Schultz. 09.
Gorlami.
Gorlami.
Just started watching Harley Quinn, and I love how heartfelt the show is because I get to feel the feels and then watch someone explode. Just wonderful.
It's a
Balance.
magical combination when something like Harley Quinn or The Boys or whatever can, make a lot of very crude whatever jokes. Anybody can do that. But when you infuse heart into it and then characters why do I care about this? Why do I care about this overly flamboyant talking shark? Why do I care? But you do. When they find a way to infuse it with heart and you care about the characters, it's magical, and Harley Quinn is great at that. All right, what's next?
Was that it?
That was it.
All right, then let's get on over to our
Wonderful.
super chats. Chris, what do we got?
First from Corey Hensley. All 3 Cinemarks near me have sold out the Rings of Power screenings.
Yeah.
I'm devastated. Me too. And yes, Rob, it would appear you can match with She-Hulk on Tinder.
That's
Wow.
magic.
Good for you, Corey.
Wow.
All right.
No, listen, I'll tell you what. They just, with a few hours advance notice, they said this Lord of the Rings screenings are going to be happening in Cinemark and all these theaters across the country. I really didn't think it was going to be that big of a problem.
Right.
And the site's crashing and whatever. And by the time I got in there was like 5 or 6 seats left in the theater. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, it is crazy. If you don't think that there is a big hunger for this thing, there is. I don't know that's going to match Game of Thrones opening numbers, but it's going to be big.
The question is, John, where do you take She-Hulk out for that first date?
Ooh, someplace with not a lot of people, where not a lot of stuff can get damaged. Maybe someplace in Palm Springs.
Ooh.
That's probably a good place to go.
You can go dancing there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Palm
Maybe a
Springs is a
spa.
great date.
2 bunch of palms like
A
in
lot
the
of
player.
a lot of spas in Palm Springs. All right, what's next?
Also, we had some support here.
Oh, from Kevin Cow.
Oh,
Yay,
thank you,
thanks,
Kevin.
Kevin. From Jay Master.
Jay Master.
Breaking news from Deadline. Owen Teague to star and lead the new Planet of the Apes film installment from director Wes Ball for Disney 20th Century Studios.
Yeah, there was just something coming out about that as we were starting the show. We're going to save that for tomorrow's episode. But yes, that's obviously going to be something we're going to be looking at. All right, what's next?
From, there we go. From
By the
Zach,
way, thanks for throwing that in there, Jay Master, bringing everybody's attention to it. Appreciate that, man.
From Zach Marcello, 1 of 2. 2 ties to today's show for Wet Hot American Summer. First, it's one of my favorite Paul
Yeah.
Rudd movie characters since it's so counter to who he is. And then part two
if we can, that's right there.
is who he is most of the time. Second, WHAS got all the cast back for future shows years after the Wet Hot American Summer got the cast back for future shows years after the fact with arguably bigger stars. So why not Community?
Just because it's been able to happen on one thing doesn't mean it can happen with other things. I mean, everybody's schedules are different. Everybody's relationships are different. I mean, so it's a wild variable. That doesn't mean it's impossible. Of course it's not impossible. But to say, oh, this happened here once, that means it's easy to do it, to recreate that exact same set of circumstances scenario for another thing. So these are 2 completely different groups of people, 2 completely different properties. One is not the other. But again, it can happen. And it sounds like if you listen to Dan Harmon, it sounds like it's heading in the right direction. So if you're looking for a Community thing, you might be in luck. All right.
Also, in Wet Hot American Summer, Bradley Cooper didn't come back. So he was one of
he
those
did,
big
that's
stars.
right,
He
yeah.
got replaced by Adam Scott. So
Yeah.
similar, but not.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
From Ben Rayner. Hey, John and crew. John, thanks for the tour this past weekend. What Keychron keyboard do you have? What switch? I love my Keychron with red switches. How clicky do you like it? Bring on the filthy.
So one of the things that I showed in my tour was the new keyboard I bought. I got this. I've been using a very cheap, like $15 keyboard. I mean, look, I spend money where I need to, and where I don't need to, I really cheap out. So for instance, right now, if on here, I am using this mouse right here. This mouse, I think is $3. I think it's a $3 mouse because it's not necessary to make the show any better. And the keyboard I generally use is like a $15 keyboard, but I finally bit the bullet. I do a lot of typing and a lot of writing. So I finally bit the bullet and bought can't remember how much the keyboard was, $100 and something bucks. I bought this mechanical keyboard and I love it. As far as what the switches, I'm not quite sure. I know it's not butterfly switches. I know that. But so I'm not quite sure. I just have you saw the keycaps. I have the ones. I just have the red one on the escape button. But yeah, it's such a satisfying typing experience. I love it. So I'm glad that you noticed it, Ben.
I thought you were about to say, I bought a person to type for me.
So you know what? This isn't a satisfying typing experience. Taylor, get in here. You need to write a letter for me. All right, what's next?
From Harv's K. With these expensive one-and-done Netflix shows like Dark Crystal and Sandman, is it better to have watched and lost than to have never watched at all?
I mean, here's the thing. Look, am I pissed that they canceled Dark Crystal? Yes. Would I rather that them had never done Dark Crystal? No. I loved that season of television. It was great. And if it never comes back, that sucks, but I'll always love that they did it.
Dude, I agree with you. And you know what? If Sandman never came back, those 11 episodes are great.
And they'll always be there.
They'll always be there, and they really well represent what Sandman is and was and could be.
I will, just a question for Dark Crystal, because this is a place where they could have saved money. Do you think having that A-list cast mattered? Because it's puppets.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think they probably spent all that much on the A-list cast. I mean, it's
fair.
not like when you're A-list cast on a traditional live action movie, you are booked for 2.5 months, not to mention whatever prep time into the movie, all that kind of stuff. When you are voicing, you know this better than anybody.
Maybe doing a week or two.
Yeah, so it's not like I almost said Adam Sandler, not Adam Sandler, Lonely Island lead guy on. Oh my God, Andy Samberg.
Wow, I feel like I had
Andy
a stroke.
Samberg,
Okay.
who did one of the voices, I believe. Like I'm sure
He's one of
whatever
Skeksis.
his regular rate is, it was probably like a sixth or less of what his rate. So that probably didn't have a lot to do with it.
But you know, that never was like their number one show.
No,
Dark Crystal never.
it wasn't.
reached
It didn't have the
those heights.
success that Sandman is
No.
having.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Jay Master.
Jay Master.
Hey, John, I didn't know you hired Matt Reeves as a producer for the John Campea Show.
Can we bring up that picture again? Is there any way to get that picture? Because he has to go hunting for
I'll
it.
look for it.
Okay, so
Just show your
no,
face,
seriously,
Jonathan.
I didn't even think about it until, and I didn't see the pictures that Jonathan or Ray had picked out for it. So when they brought up that image on the screen, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That looks like just like Jonathan, but
Well, how do you think Matt hones his editing skills? You know, editing on the fly
That's
like
right.
he does every day. That's what helps make movies like the Batman.
maybe Jonathan really is Matt Reeves, and this is just his little reprieve.
He didn't come to CinemaCon with us. I've never seen the two of them in the same room.
You know what? That's true. This is a snuffleupagus situation.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, don't worry about it. All right, let's move on. Oh, there it
There we
is.
go.
Now go to so have that on. Then go to the full screen picture of you.
Oh, full screen?
Yeah. So there
There it is.
Jonathan, change the picture.
you. We have the Batman creator in our midst
See it now.
right now. Dear God.
Who's the villain in Batman 2?
Yeah, come on.
Drop it right
spell
here.
Who's the bad guy in Batman 2? All right, what's next?
From Jordan G. Have you all seen Young Justice? Yes. I just finished the newest season, but news came out that WBD has no plans for season 5. Any hope for the future?
I didn't like Young Justice. I mean, but then again, to be fair, I find not all. I find the vast majority of Marvel and DC direct to home video animation stuff to be drivel. That's just, there are a few exceptions. There are a few exceptions with both Marvel and DC that I really, really enjoy, but I find it few and far between. Listen, Young Justice has a lot of fans. It just wasn't for me. So I'm not crapping on it. It's just, it clearly wasn't for me. This is the second time it's been canceled because it got canceled before and then revived. So it very well could be revived again at some point, or maybe this becomes one of those things that they shop around to another. I can't see them doing that with Young Justice, but maybe they could. I would say not all hope is lost. If you're a Young Justice fan, I wouldn't say all hope is lost on. I don't know, Chris, what do you think? You are a fan of Young Justice.
I am, yeah. I
Yes.
particularly liked the first few seasons after it was resurrected. I had some moments that I loved, others that I wasn't as thrilled about. But I mean, it has a really big fan base.
It does.
And as we've seen with a lot of these streamers too, obviously Warner Brothers does own all the rights to this, but we've seen other people pick things up. So, you know, if the fan base keeps things alive, we could see this show resurrected once again.
All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, my vacation was supposed to start Monday, but on Friday it fell through due to a family medical emergency.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
No control, but really annoying. Bad timing. I'm sorry, Sam.
Sorry about that. That's terrible when stuff like, obviously, listen, there is no good time for a family emergency to happen.
As long as the
There's-
family's okay.
Yeah.
As long as everything works out, that's fine. Vacations, you can take another vacation. Vacations come and go. Don't worry about it. But obviously, we hope everything with your family works out really good, man. All right, what's next?
We have 1 and 2, but I couldn't find part 2. But here's
Okay.
part 1.
So King Tannic.
We'll do our best, King Tantic.
Yeah. Yesterday, I released the full trailer for my upcoming doc. I won't self-promo here. And something I wasn't expecting was the support from hundreds of people who I don't even know that were touched by the trailer, I assume.
Well, I hope that's viewers of the John Campea Show who went and
Yeah.
checked
I
out your
hope they
thing.
showed
So
up
that's
for
great.
you.
So I'm sorry we didn't get, obviously, again, we only leave super chats open for a finite period of time. So obviously we weren't able to get the second part in. But I hope it goes well for you, man. Thanks for sharing, dude.
You know who else made a documentary? You.
I did.
Where can you find that?
Well, you know what? So obviously I did a movie called Movie Trailers: A Love Story that just kind of looks at the history and the importance and the role of movie trailers. I am actually thinking about booking out a theater in LA and doing a screening of the film and invite our viewers to come in and watch it with us. And oh, you found it. So, and actually doing a thing of it with people coming in to watch it and join us and see if we can get Scott Mance to come down and get a few people who were involved in the movie. Were you able to bring that up? Oh yeah, there it is.
Kind of cool. Has the trailer running in the
Wow,
background.
that's really neat.
Yeah, so that's the trailer for my Movie Trailers: A Love Story. And you know, we actually talked to like one of the most historic trailer making companies in the world. We got to have them talk about it. We got to talk to like filmmakers and, you know, stuff like that, historians on it and trailer reactors and things and everything and talking about it. It was a lot of fun doing it. And I think we're going to probably book a theater and have a live viewing of it at some point. So
It's like I'm reviewing all of these shots that I just remember going over and over with you.
yeah, because producer Jonathan edited this movie, by the way. He spent months editing this movie, which was an
Matt
awful lot of
Reeves,
fun.
huh?
So
Spending the big
I didn't have a
money.
deal in line yet with John, so
that's right. I put up the big money to get the guys in. All right, what's next?
From, can you scroll down just a little
Yeah,
bit? There we go.
there you go.
Elizabeth Gerardo. Netflix really had to ruin my birthday week by not picking up Sandman for season 2. I'd rather watch Tom Surge than The Men and the Gray Man. Oh, happy birthday week though, buddy. Virgos, how you doing?
Okay, let's be clear. Nobody has said that Netflix isn't picking up Sandman for
Yeah.
season 2. It's just not been signed yet. Again, just because they have not greenlit it yet does not mean it won't be. So don't panic yet. Don't panic yet. All right, what's next?
From Allison Hoffman. DWTS moved to Disney Plus.
Dancing with the Stars.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
don't
still
care.
on?
I don't.
I don't even know why I knew that.
Okay, look, this thing, I love a lot of things that people would look at and say, why do you watch that or love that? We all do, right? We all do. It's perfectly fair. Dancing with the Stars is one of those things that I look at and go, for why?
Yeah.
Why does anybody watch this? I don't get it. Hey, just because it's not for me doesn't mean it shouldn't be for you. Just like there are things I love that you probably would scratch your head at. But this is one of those things that I just don't get why it's as popular as it is. I don't understand it.
Well, I think it's, the same reason, like, I love watching ice skating in the Olympics. There's a certain
But
physical.
those are the world's best. Even if you don't like
Right.
ice skating, those are the best in the world doing their
Yeah.
craft.
But everybody, everybody's concerned about whether or not they can dance. No one thinks they can dance unless the people, you were in a dance crew, so you can dance. But most people can't dance. And I think that
You can dance if you want.
there's
Sorry.
a way,
you
there's
don't know
something,
about it,
there's an
Will.
appeal to watch, watching stars, somebody kind of mess up. Like if they dance badly, there's an appeal there.
I just remember one of the first time I turned it on, they had Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple. I'm like, why does somebody want to tune in and watch Steve? Steve's great. Why does anybody want to tune in and watch Woz dance?
I mean, there's someone where that is their very specific kink.
I guess so.
They've just been waiting for
The
that.
Steve Wozniak dance
yeah.
channel on Pornhub.
Oh, well,
mean-
all right. What's next?
From Chris. Just how trashy is Pretty Little Liars' original sin? I'm curious what the creators of Riverdale's take on the Pretty Little Liar universe. P.S. My first contact with the Campea-verse was the after show for Pretty Little Liars. Oh, that you produced.
Yeah, that was one of the, I never watched Pretty Little Liars. Besides the fact that Anne loves Shay Mitchell and all that kind of stuff, but I never watched Pretty Little Liars. But one of the first things that I did, one of the first online shows that I strictly produced was that Pretty Little Liars after show.
Wow.
And we had some terrific people involved with it, and it was crazy popular. And even like the show, people in the show people in Pretty Little Liars and the people who ran the show watched our Pretty Little Liars after show.
Wow.
It was crazy popular, but I never did watch it. But my wife loved it. Have you been watching? I can't remember.
While I was trying to watch friggin' Game of Thrones, I kept just going, oh, I'll watch this. And I got 4 episodes deep.
Really?
It's not good, but I'm in it now. The Riverdale people, they always get me. To speak to your question, how trashy it is, I mean, it's as trashy as the original one, basically. It's not great storytelling. The one character, Tabby, makes movie references every 5 seconds, and I want to just scream. It's so annoying. The only big difference here is that some of the violence is a little more violent. You like see people get their throats slit because it's HBO, and also everyone can say fuck. So good for you guys.
All right, what's next?
From Alan Ling. Hey guys, like Rob, I'm a physical media collector.
Yes.
I would love if Glass Onion would get a physical media release, but since it's exclusive to Netflix, probably not, right?
No. But there are places where you can get physical media of Netflix shows. Just saying.
But we don't promote that.
Well, no, I mean legitimately.
Oh, legitimate.
Yeah, not
Okay.
illegit too, but there are places depending on who.
So they do
who
license it to be.
It depends.
Well, how legitimate is it then if it wasn't licensed?
Well,
The
no, but no, there are
legitimate
places
adjacent.
where they've legitimately released things.
Oh, okay,
It's
great.
few and
Back
far
alleys.
between.
No?
Well,
Sometimes?
I mean, it depends.
I mean, that's been the struggle though when you're talking about Disney Plus or you're talking about Netflix. Like the question, I remember a lot of people would bring up like when Mandalorian season 1 finished. It's like, well, are they going to release a Mandalorian season 1 box set, stuff like
Right.
that? The thing is, if you are a streamer, the reason you made that show,
Yeah.
the reason you invested the money into making the show was to get people to come and sign up to your streaming service. To offer an alternative to watching your show becomes counterintuitive to your core business practice. So that's the hard part.
No, I mean, I think that nails it. And look, I've got a lot of Star Wars physical media, and I actually like it. Like they've done beautiful boxes for the Clone Wars and the Skywalker saga, really nice sets. But like you said, I don't expect to ever find a Mandalorian box set on my shelf because they're not going to do it for that very reason you just stated.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Waleed Hajai. The winner from the streaming war will be Piracy Plus.
You know what? I really don't think so. I've said this ever since the days of Dan. What was the name of the music streaming? The music download.
Kazaa.
Napster.
Bear
Ever
share.
since the days of Napster. And here's what happened. Going back to the days of Napster, people thought, well, you're never going to be able to sell music online again because Napster is here. People are going to do this. But you know what? When Apple iTunes came out and started allowing people to download individual songs, I think it was for 99 cents, it took off like crazy. And it proves a core foundational thing that I've always believed. People are willing to pay money for content they want if you make it easily available to them and reasonably priced. And if you do that, people are willing to people are waving their money in there saying, take my money. People are willing to do that. People are willing to pay for content they enjoy if it's reasonable and easily available to them.
Same with movies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think that, in the age of streaming and stuff like that, I still believe, like we all complain about prices of streaming services. I still believe that, say, $15 a month, depending on the streaming service, is a ridiculously good value when you consider that you could literally spend 12 hours a day, every day, all month, and not get through 5% of the content that's on that thing, especially if they have good content. That is that is less than one drink you're going to buy the hot blonde at the bar, at the club tomorrow. Think about that. That's less than one craft beer you might buy in San Diego. It's a ridiculously good value, and people are willing to legitimately pay for it if you give them an easy avenue to do it and you make it reasonably priced. So I really don't think piracy is going to be that big of an issue for a lot of the streaming services, provided the streaming services is available in markets where those people are.
Right.
Which is why, like, Mandalorian season 1 was pirated so much, because it was only in certain countries when it first launched.
No, and look, streaming is getting better all the time. The only reason like that I say I prefer physical media is especially with soundtracks. You can get, if you have a huge blockbuster movie, the sound is better on discs, but that's not going to be the case for much longer.
All right, what's next?
From James Wheeler sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, James.
I just want to wish you all a great day.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Thank you,
James,
sir.
it's always so nice when somebody wants to write in just to say something nice.
That's sweet.
Thank you for that, man. And thank you for supporting our channel on that level, dude. That's incredibly nice of you. All right, what's next?
From Casey Mack. Well, John and crew, it's my birthday and I've turned the big 4-0. Man, I still wish I was in my 20s.
As does
You are in your
everybody,
20s.
Casey.
It's
As does everybody. But seriously, happy
no.
birthday, man. Thank you for
birthday,
spending.
Casey.
Thank you
I'm
for
with
spending
you.
part of your day
Yeah.
here with us. We appreciate that. May you have a fabulous birthday and a fabulous year ahead of you, man. Thanks for being here with us. All right, what's next?
I never want to go back to my 20s. Tevin Como. I'm ready for The Flash to release. I can't wait to see Chris's face on game day.
It'll be disbelief. It'll be complete. Listen, I gotta tell you, honestly, despite all the crappy things that have gone on and all that kind of stuff, and it's all the concerning stuff and whatever, fortunately, it's all been centered around just one person. I am very interested to see this film. We've heard nothing but very positive things about it. Andy Muschietti, who your heart's got to go out to Andy Muschietti, the director who has poured his heart and soul into making this film, a very talented director who apparently has made a very, very good film. It's unfortunate the antics of one individual has kind of distracted away a lot from that core thing that, hey, a great filmmaker has apparently made a really good movie. I'm very interested to see it, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. Rob, what about you?
I agree. And it's August of 2022. We've got June? It comes out in June of 2023.
You got almost a year to go.
Listen, I mean, we forgot. We've been hearing so much Ezra Miller news, but we haven't in the last couple of weeks. It's gone silent.
Isn't that sad, though? We got to talk about it's been a couple of weeks, not a couple of years, not a couple of months. It's been a few weeks since we've heard any Ezra shenanigans.
But imagine what 10 months would do to this story. People are going to, oh, yeah, I remember those days. I think the movie will come out, and hopefully the movie and everyone, all the cast and the crew, all their hard work will be able to shine. And it won't be, but what about, that won't come.
Especially
that won't be
for
there.
Andy Muschietti, man.
Yeah.
I just like this guy who made this movie, turned down some other big projects, poured so much of himself into making this movie for people. And again, if it's as good as people are saying it is, that we're hearing that it is, I really hope it does well for him, because this is his movie. He made it. And I hope somebody else's nonsense that they do doesn't detract from Andy's success, because this is his movie.
And Michael Keaton, man, to be honest, I want to see Michael Keaton as Batman again.
How cool. I still can't believe they haven't released the footage that they showed us at CinemaCon of Michael Keaton in the movie.
I'm very excited to see Batman Flashpoint.
And again,
Really
I still think
pumped.
there's a very good chance it's called Batman
I assume
Flashpoint.
our lovely viewer here wants to see my face, because I'm going to be an old woman by the time this comes out. Keeps getting pushed back.
All right, what's next?
Retribution Zero. Are the days of smaller production companies like Broken Lizard over, or do they need to evolve? And Rob, Club Dread, not on Blu-ray, sadness. Thanks.
Well, I mean, I don't think the days of smaller production companies are over. I think that there's a lot of potential to be making great films. I mean, you've still got small companies like A24 doing great work. I just saw an A24 trailer today called I want to say The Inspection.
Oh, a trailer for that dropped.
Trailer for Jet, which is not a horror film. It's about a Marine. I think a gay man who goes into the Marine Corps to better himself, better his situation. His mother doesn't think he can do it. His friends don't think he can do it. It looks great. And of course he has to hide who he is, but it looks terrific. And I'm like, you know what? There's more opportunity now than ever for small production companies. Like, look, Broken Lizard was a comedy troupe that then later made movies. They made they made Club Dread, but they also made, what was the cop movie they made? Why am I drawing a blank on it?
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Super
Super
Bat,
Cops.
Super Cops,
Super Cops.
Super something.
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers.
Thank
That's
you,
what
not
it was.
Super Cops. That's Jackie Chan. I
Yeah,
think,
Super Troopers.
Cops.
Super Cop. Yeah, Super Cop 3 is coming out, or Super Cop. Yes. But I think that there's more opportunity than ever before.
By the way, I just want to address this because we were just talking about Andy Muschietti, and there's a common misconception. There's a basic fundamental thing that a lot of people just aren't getting. And we've got to drive this home, because one of the viewers in the live chat, 1001 of clips, so 1001 of clips in the live chat said, are we really supposed to feel bad for Andy Muschietti, but just say business is business for the Batgirl directors? Yeah, because it's about whether or not you made a good movie. Everything we heard coming out, and we had heard from our own back channel things, we've heard publicly said the Batgirl movie was not good. And they decided And they said directly, they said publicly, we cannot put out a movie that we don't believe in. Everything that we have heard about the Batgirl movie was that it was not good, period. That's it. It's about whether you make good movies. Everything contrary to that, everything we have heard from every source about the Flash movie has been, it's really good. Some people saying it's the highest tested thing they've put out so far. I don't know if I believe that, but everything we've heard from everybody is that this movie is good. At the end of the day, business is business. Are you making good product? And I feel bad for Andy because apparently he has made good product.
Yep.
He's made a good movie. And the Batgirl movie apparently was not. So yeah, I do feel for Andy. And of course I feel for everybody who made the Batgirl movie. They did the best they could. And sometimes even Steven Spielberg has a bad day at the office. Terminal. Even Steven Spielberg has a bad day at the office.
He's not
Ray.
paying
So, I mean,
attention.
it
It's
happens, but they'll be fine.
what?
They'll be fine. All right, what's next?
Oh, sorry.
From
Yeah.
Casino Royale. I have a prediction. By 2025, WBD will buy Real FX Studios and compete with DreamWorks and Pixar.
I don't know. Okay, you might be right. You might be right. I'm just saying right now it feels like that demographic is not who their target audience or
Yeah.
what they want their identity as a studio to be. So you might be right, maybe. I don't agree with you, but hey, let's see what happens. All right, what's next?
From Kyle Schneider, some support. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
From Sam Fisher again. I know you don't love baseball, but A League of Their Own is one of my all-time faves.
It's wonderful.
I watched the new Amazon series, and while different with all new characters, it does the series justice and is super queer.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll be honest with you, I'm not terribly intrigued by it, despite the fact that I love the original movie. There's no crying in baseball. That movie is great. I've never felt the urge to watch the series though, but if I listen, I never felt the urge to watch Harley Quinn either. But if I hear from enough of you guys that it's really good, I'm probably have to check it out myself. All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw, Batgirl directors recently said in an interview that they were told movie was not scrapped due to quality. If true and quality wasn't bad, how can you say the moronic decision was a good move?
Because they said they didn't believe in the film. And we have heard from many people that the movie wasn't good. So it was the right move. Listen, again, the hypocrisy here that we as film fans, myself included, often filled with hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of film fans that Morbius comes out and everybody says, how could you release that? How could they release that? Couldn't they tell that the movie wasn't good? How do you release it? Well, now comes along a studio that says, yeah, we don't believe in this movie. This movie is not good enough for us and we're not going to put it out. And then go, how come you didn't put it out? Well, pick one. Look, if they believe that movie hurts their overall product and hurts what the perception of people will be about the quality of the DCEU and hurts all that kind of stuff, then the right business move is to not release it. It's what they should have done with Morbius. Quite frankly, it's what they should have done with Morbius. Sony, I know they put a lot of money into it, but they should have looked at the final product and said, we can't put this out because this is going to hurt us in the long run. And they did what Sony should have done.
Yeah, unfortunately, they should know during the process. I'm convinced studio executives do not do the work that they should have been doing. But John, you know what else? The movie might have been good, but tonally, it could have been way different than where they want to take the Batman franchise. It could have been more like, I don't know, Birds of Prey, where it's more kind of wacky fun. It might have been beautifully made, but they don't need that kind of a Batgirl movie right now.
Right. And again, everything we did hear about it from the people we know connected to this was that it wasn't good. But go to your point, go back to when Kevin Feige canceled Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Remember that? Kevin Feige had a deal for the longest time, for years. Edgar Wright, the wonderful Edgar Wright, was signed up to direct an Ant-Man movie. He had an Ant-Man movie planned out, all that kind of stuff. But what happened was the MCU started going in a direction that Edgar Wright's Ant-Man movie didn't fit anymore. And so Edgar and Kevin, they talked about, Edgar tried to get Kevin to just let him make the movie anyway. Kevin tried to get Edgar to change the movie to fit more with what the MCU was. And they couldn't do it. So Kevin Feige, instead of saying, well, let's just do it anyway, even though it doesn't fit with what we're doing, it won't help what we're doing, it'll hurt what we're doing, let's just make it anyway. No. Kevin Feige said, we're killing it. And they killed it. And then they went back to the drawing board. They brought on Peyton Reed. They used a lot of the ideas that Edgar Wright had. And Edgar Wright still got credited as a producer, as a matter of fact. And apparently the relationship between Kevin Feige and Edgar Wright is perfectly good today. But Kevin Feige made the decision. That movie does not help us go where we're going. And therefore they killed the project. Now, the difference between Batgirl and Edgar Wright's Ant-Man is, of course, that they hadn't started shooting Edgar Wright's Batman.
Right.
So there wasn't money involved, but that's their money. So what they decide to do with their money and what is best for money, that's another thing. But Kevin Feige said, that film is not what we need with our cinematic universe, even though we had agreed to it before. So they cut it. It's as simple as that. And that's what they did with Batgirl. All right, what's next?
From Cutter Hale, ready for Friday. Can't wait to see Rogue One again.
Oh yeah, and got us tickets. I totally forgot to get the tickets till I got a notification in my email that your AMC A-list thing signed up. I was like, and got us tickets. I'm very
Are you
excited.
seeing IMAX?
Yes.
Oh,
I think that's the only theaters they're playing it in. I could be wrong about that, but I think they're only showing it on IMAX screens. Very excited to watch this on IMAX again. All right, what's next?
From Sir John, it's crazy how international streaming deals work. In India, we're watching House of the Dragon and other HBO shows on Disney Plus Hotstar.
So I'm going to assume that HBO Max is not in India yet. I mean, that's the thing. I wish Disney Plus had done that when they launched with Mandalorian. They weren't in every territory yet, which is perfectly understandable. But instead of letting other countries see Mandalorian as well by licensing it out temporarily to other platforms that were in those territories, they just said, nah, nobody gets to watch Mandalorian unless you live in the 5 countries that we launched Disney Plus in. I wish they had done what HBO just did with Game of Thrones. Let people see it if you don't have your service there yet. All right, what's next?
From Mr. Old Blue Eyes, what movie are you guys most excited for the remainder of 2022? Mine is See How They Run. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
I'm not even. I don't have calendars in my. I'd have to sit down with a calendar in front of me. I mean, obviously, I'm excited about Avatar. Obviously, I'm excited about Black Panther.
Meet the Fabelmans, Spielberg's movie about his own life.
But I need a list in front of me to be able to really do it. All right, what's next?
From Leo Liang, happy birthday, Kobe Bean Bryant.
Oh, right.
Was it Kobe's birthday?
I think. Oh, yeah, it is.
And that's a $20 super chat too from Leo. Thank you.
Listen, I'll always remember where I was. Look, I was never the number one Kobe fan. Certainly respect how great he was as a player, but he was, as far as celebrities go, he's a very important figure to my wife Ann, who had met Kobe a couple of times. Actually, one of her favorites. Ann's got this big thing, framed picture of her and Kobe together, and Ann bonded with her dad over Laker basketball and stuff like that. And I remember we were in Burbank, we were pulling into our driveway or into our garage. We were pulling into our garage in Burbank as Ann said, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "What?" And this has got to be a joke. This has got to be fake. And she showed me that Kobe had died. And it was very emotional. It was really, really an emotional time. All right, what's next?
From My Comic Planet, after watching the final Rings of Power trailer, I still have no idea what the show is about. What's the conflict? Shouldn't that be clear now on the eve of the show's debut? Maybe I'm just stupid.
I mean, look, they did give us the basics that, they brought us, have you heard of Sauron? And like we thought we had, that evil was now vanished and we thought we were going to this. Okay, so obviously there's a returning evil, but I agree. As much as I love the Comic-Con trailer, one of the things this final trailer needed to do was to give us a little bit of a better idea about what again, these are trailers that are being made by some trailer company and whatever. It doesn't take away how great the show is, but this was a mistake. It should have given us a little bit more. This final trailer should have given us a little bit. Don't spoil the entire thing, but tell us, what is this story going to be about? And they have failed to do that in the marketing. And that is a mistake, in my opinion.
Can you imagine the pressure, though, all the way from the top down? The spend on this program is it exceeds anything in entertainment history.
By miles.
By miles. And there is such pressure on this show to deliver. I mean, I don't know if Ian McKellen himself walks out of my TV screen like he was in the movie The Ring. He just comes out, "Hello, Rob, Gandalf." I don't think even that. I can't even imagine what the pressure on Amazon and everybody there
they have
is.
spent. The amount of money spent on this thing is, and look, when you look at the individual shots in the frames, it's like, there it is. But my God,
but is the story and the emotion and the
heart. We won't know now till we watch it.
I know.
I'll find out Wednesday night. All right, what's next?
From Tevin Como, WB pushing the Flash back offered more time for Ezra to mess up.
Yeah.
Would it be better for them to move it up and get out of the way before Ezra does something else?
Tevin, I have been saying that exact same thing. Like, I get it. push it further away, allow more, like Rob, you were just pointing this out, right? It's almost a year away. If, and this is a huge uncertain if we can go a year without either A, Ezra doing something else stupid, or B, things that Ezra has already done that we just don't know about yet comes out and comes to light. I honestly 100% believe that the best, smartest decision for Warner Brothers right now is release The Flash as soon as possible. Just from a business point of view, I get it. Wait, hopefully more time passes. Everybody gets over stuff. Okay, I understand the mentality there. But can you count on that? Are you really willing to bet $50 million that something that Ezra has already done that we just don't know about yet doesn't come to surface and get splashed on CNN? Release it quickly. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just say if I was in that room right now with David Zaslav and Alan Horn and stuff like that, and they gave me a vote, I'd say, listen, I think, you know what, November's looking real good. Let's put this thing out in November. I don't know. What do you think,
I just
Rob?
can't get over the fact. I want to believe that someone at Warner Brothers, they've locked Ezra Miller away, Animaniac style, in the Warner Brothers water tower. He's on the Flash's cosmic treadmill, and he's just running. They feed him with water, and they give him food, and like, look, Ezra, you only have to be here until June of next year, and then we'll let you go. He's sequestered away.
I agree with you,
Animaniac
Devin.
style.
I agree with you. All right, what's next?
There's part 2 of King
There's
Titanic.
part 2 King Titanic. Okay.
Yeah.
So even without this reaction, I still would have made the documentary, but seeing the emotional reaction that others had to the trailer made it all more worth
Well,
it.
that's always very rewarding, King Titanic. And again, we
Yeah.
hope for good things for you, man. All right, what's next?
Can I butt in real quick? I just got one last one from a premium member, Spying Mentor 087. Hello, John and crew. Thoughts on Ryan Gosling reuniting with his Barbie co-star Margot Robbie for the Ocean's 11 prequel.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that.
The only reason we haven't talked about this is I don't know if that's official. I read a rumor about it, and it very well may have become official, and I just haven't seen that yet. But that's why we haven't. Like if it happens, I can't comment on it because I haven't seen Barbie.
Well,
So I don't know if they have terrible chemistry together. I don't know if they have great. I mean, I just don't know. So, but again,
It's up in the air. It's up in the air.
Yeah, it's up in the air. So I just don't know. We'll
it's
have
supposed to
see.
be a period piece too. Like it's set in the 60s, which I thought, well, that's interesting.
Oh, so it's a prequel to Ocean's 11?
Yeah, it's a prequel to the Ocean's movies. I don't know. Is it
Is he
Danny
like
Ocean's
Danny's
mom and
father?
dad?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
No, I'm saying that, you know.
I think I read this on Deadline. I think it is.
Well,
official.
if it's on Deadline, then it is official. So so we'll have to see.
Looks like we
All
got
right.
it off the top.
All right, what's next?
From Jake Lockley. Hey guys, question for Rob. What is the best Hot Toys alternative?
Well, I think you mean toys that aren't made by Hot Toys, but other 6-scale figures. There's a lot of like So-So Toys is great. And if you don't want to buy 6-scale figures, there's statues. I mean, I don't know what that means.
And you could put together your own. You could buy the head sculpt, you could buy the body, and just
Yes,
make
you
your
can.
own. So it could be your.
That's a big deal in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
You can go to
it's
whole stores and all they
kid
sell is
bashing, right?
body parts.
You know what? Also, Diamond does some pretty good stuff.
Yep.
So their stuff's a little bit hip.
NECA does
What's
some
it
good
called?
stuff.
Kotobukiya.
Yep.
I have now. They're not 6-figure scales though.
But they have
they're-
great statues.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff. They do
Kotobukiya
great.
stuff. I have some of their things is pretty good too. So there's alternatives.
Yeah,
out
it really
there.
depends what you want. I mean, Ray, you're big 12th scale, right?
No. Oh, yeah, 12 scale, 6-inch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's my thing. Right
All right, what's next?
That's what she said.
From Arse Gravy. Didn't get why
You
people
asked that just to say that.
I did not.
Arse Gravy. I didn't get why people love Big Trouble in Little China until I realized that Kurt Russell is the clumsy sidekick who's convinced he's the hero.
I mean,
And that's
are you kidding?
fun.
Kurt Russell, when some 8-foot-tall monster has your favorite head up against a barroom wall, and he says, "If you paid your dues, Jack," you stare that sucker straight back and say, "Yes, sir. The check is in the mail."
Remember, The Rock was going to remake that movie.
I know. You know who's going to write it was Zach and Ashley Edward Miller, who's in your documentary.
I wanted to see that because even if it turned out to be a complete train wreck, it doesn't matter because the original film is still intact. But I mean, I really thought a modern kind of look at it could have been fun.
Dude, with him thinking he's the hero, like our viewer just pointed out, and he's not, he's the sidekick, with Dwayne Johnson's comedic styling, that could be great.
Yeah, could have been.
I mean,
really
that
good.
movie's so good. So good.
And Ashley writing it. I mean, all right, what's next?
From Orlando Orego. Maybe I'm not understanding, but I thought Batman was an important property for WB Discovery. Why cancel an animation show?
I think because, yeah, Batman's an important property. That's why they've doubled down on Matt Reeves. Batman live action is an important property. Batman, the potential blockbuster, is the important property. Batman universe, potential Emmy winning, is an important property. It just seems that Warner Brothers, like it under Kevin Feige when he realized that the Edgar Wright Ant-Man wasn't going to fit for them, Warner Brothers has a vision of what they want the identity of their thing to be, that we will probably get a better idea of in the next 2 to 3 years. And investing in animation and stuff like that is not part of the identity that they're going for.
And I also think you put it well, that it's an HBO thing too.
Yeah.
This is not where HBO Max is going to go.
Yeah.
Making more animation.
They don't want to be like, again, it doesn't look like HBO Max wants to be an all things for all people place, or everybody can be. No, it looks like they're going for us. Look, when you look at the history of HBO, you're talking about The Sopranos, and you're talking about like that level, that caliber stuff. That's what they want to be, and they don't see that investing a lot in their let's be honest, their lowest viewed niche of programming,
Yes.
which is their animation stuff. That's not what they want to invest their stuff in. And again, they're going to find a home for a lot of this other stuff elsewhere. That's perfectly fine. But again, you got to be able to say, what is our business? What is the identity of our business? And are we going to be true to that identity and really put our investments and our resources into that? And that's what they're doing.
100%.
All right, what's next?
From My Love for Movies. Zaslav is pulling a Thanos with wiping all these shows. LOL. Not saying he's wrong, but the stock is still plummeting, so investors are not impressed. He needs to be very careful with this purge.
No, this is part of the thing you got to go through. I was talking to, again, a buddy of mine last night. Like, I think the last I checked, the stock of Warner Brothers went from like $30 to $16 or something like that over the past 6 months. Like, but the stock drops happened before the merger happened. But listen, when you make changes hurt. Terragenesis, going back to the Star Trek reference, everything that's on the surface of that planet's got to be burned away first. Before the lush green life can come, you got to burn away what's there. I often go back to the whole bar rescue. For those of you who've never seen bar rescue, you won't know what I'm talking about. But, the bar rescue guy comes in and the guy says, yeah, I need more success. Okay, then you got to change this, and this. And the bar owners are always like, but I don't want to change that. If you want different results, you got to start doing things differently. Burn that saying into your mind, because this is true in life. If you want different results, you need to start doing different things. And for the longest time, a lot of us have looked at Warner Brothers and say they're not living up to their potential. Okay, you want different results? We need to do things differently.
Yes.
And that starts with the painful process of tearing down things that are there in order to make room for what you're building. And the reality is, and Rob, we've said this for a long time, I am a huge fan of what they're doing right now until we see what it is they're building. But we're not really going to know what the results are going to be for 2 to 3 years. And that's when we'll really see the results.
But making deals with filmmakers like Matt Reeves is a step in the right direction.
It's a huge step in the right
Certainly
direction.
excites me to see what he's going to do, having come from 2 different franchise projects that he's done great with.
And let's face it, Matt Reeves is the type of guy, he can go anywhere he wants right now. And he knows what the vision for Warner Brothers, HBO television, all that kind of stuff. He knows what that vision is. They've sold him on it. He's like, this is where I want to be.
And there's not a lot of other studios in town that can make him that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Warner Brothers is confident to make that deal with him. So they're confident where they're going.
Yeah. But again, I think, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I almost bought some Warner Brothers stock yesterday, but I'll tell you right now, I think it's going to drop further. I personally think Warner Brothers stock is probably going to drop down to $13, $12. I mean, before they really start building what they're building, and they're still just in this tearing down and getting everything. It's like the home run. It's demo day. That's what Warner Brothers is right now. Warner Brothers is in the middle of demo day. And if you want to renovate a house, you got to clear out all the crap that's in there. And I think they're still going to be in that phase for another couple of months. And I think the stock's going to drop even lower. And that's when I'll buy some stock, because I believe in 2 to 3 years, once we start to see what the studio is going to look like, because this is a long-term plan. And again, I'm putting my money on it. 2 to 3 years from now, everybody's going to be looking back and going, yeah, they did all the right things. I totally believe that, but we'll see what happens.
Just wait until the next quarterly earnings. Don't buy before earnings.
Yeah, I think the next quarterly earnings is going to be down too. I think the next quarter isn't going to be good for them. I really don't. It's going to take a couple of years. But anyway, that's it, right? All right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so much for your support. I want to thank everybody sitting around here with me, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, the wonderful Chris Carr, back there, Ray Ora, and of course, Matt Reeves, taking time out of his Batman development schedule to help us run the show here. Guys, just a heads up, a little bit later this afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 6 p.m. New York time, we will have our next episode of Open Mic. So if you guys want to come by and join me and Rob as we just talk about a bunch of stuff, come on by and join us for that. That'll be at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so about 2.5 hours from now. All right, guys. That'll do it for us for today. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.